10 seconds.
Welcome to Comic Book Spectrum, a Rising Tide Broadcast Network production. Get ready to explore the world of comics, past, present, and future, with our panelists Eric Hawkins, Brian Rodman, and Clyde Hall. And now here's your host, Brian K. Morris.
And good evening, everyone. How the heck are you? Welcome to another episode of Comic Book Spectrum for October 28th, 2021. Only 3 more days until Halloween. So looking forward to that blessed event. And we hope you're looking forward to tonight's show because we got all kinds of cool comics to talk about and a couple topics that are near and dear to our hearts that we want to make some comments about. And will a comic go airborne tonight? Will there be only one? Stay tuned and find out. Anyway, as always, we are blessed to have our regular sponsor, Plasma Fire Graphics. Plasma Fire Graphics, and the look of your book matters to you. You've created the best novel you can, the best book you could possibly produce, and now you want the best cover that anyone could produce. And for that, you need Jeffrey Hayes at Plasma Fire Graphics. He does work for many, many companies, and there's a reason why. 1, he is very, very talented. 2, he's easy to work with. And 3, he is very, very affordable. So definitely go to his Facebook page, Plasma Fire Graphics, and check out his various samples of his work. Then go over to plasmafiregraphics.com and see what he offers there. And that's where you can contact him directly and ask for his rate card. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you, because it definitely matters to your readers. And also, what also matters is Rising Tide Broadcast Network. You can check out our various shows. We got your entertainment covered 7 days a week. And let's see, today's Thursday. I have to remember there will be no Stupid O'Clock tonight, nor Last Man Standing tonight, or on Saturday night and Sunday morning, because Joe Dog and all are preparing for HallowCon. That's happening Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the 29th through the 31st in Dalton, Georgia. And I will be guest of honor there. And plus, there may or may not be a new product or two bearing my name. You'll have to come and find out what it is and what they are, in fact. And you can do that at HallowCon. Go to hallowcon.com. In fact, Jeffrey Hayes of Plasma Fire Graphics did the poster for it. It's a thing of beauty. So check it out, and please come see us at HallowCon. You'll also get to meet Cookie there, along with John B. Pike, Carl Witzman, Donna Carly, Carlene, I'm always forgetting somebody. Michaela Jade. And, of course, Joe Dog McKeel, Dan Scarborough, Dan Hollifield, and the Skunk Rocker, maybe more, from Stupid O'Clock, and all manner of cool people. And also on Saturday, you'll get to see Bobby Nash. Bobby Nash is our secret guest, okay? We say secret because he wasn't supposed to tell me he was coming, but he did. Anyway, we hope you'll come join us. It's this weekend. Go to hallowcon.com and get all the great details. Plus, we want to thank our Patreon supporters. Patreon is a monthly subscription service where you can support your favorite creators directly. And all these people have their own Patreon pages, so please check them out as well. You can find out what I offer in exchange for your support, such as blogs and works in progress, at www.patreon.com/Brian K. Morris. Also, your name can go on this card. How thrilling can that be? And speaking of thrilling, allow me now to unmute my co-stars here and readying ourselves for the night's festivities. And I think I got everybody taken care of here. So anyway, I'd like to introduce, going clockwise, Clyde Hall, Eric S. Hawkins, and Lupin the Third, sitting in for the absent Brian Rodman. How are you all tonight?
Brian who?
Lupin what?
Oh, yeah, him. Oh, yeah, that's Chad Nuss's favorite friend. That's right. Anyway, speaking of which, we hope that you caught last Tuesday's Dastardly Dingoes show when the four of us appeared on that wonderful, wonderful show. Five, because we had, like, the other guy, the absent one, you know? We've got a lot to answer for in our private emails this week. I can tell it right now. Anyway, no. But anyway, please watch that episode. It was fantastic. Also a part of the Rising Tide broadcast network. Oh, I also want to point out George Soroy has a wonderful podcast that we are mentioned quite generously in. And please check out the Rising Tide broadcast network page on Facebook for more information on that.
Every time I see his name in print, I think it's George Soros. I'm like, let me read. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I assure you, they are not one and the same. Although I've never seen them in the same room together. And so Mr. Soroy does wear glasses. So anyway, we have various bits of entertainment tonight. So we've got a couple topics we would like to get to that probably won't win us many friends, but what the heck. Anyway, I see one other person, and he's going to be helping me with stuff. Anyway, and I just got noticed Comic Book Spectrum's on right now. Cool. Anyway, nice. Willow Schuyler is here. We may begin now. Mwah, Willow, who is co-hostess of the Cryptid Crunch on the back of the Cereal Box Network, as well as Willow's Pillow Talk on Hang at the Web Show Network. Glad to see you here. Mwah! And Cindy Kemp is here, CKOEPP.com. Greetings, humans. What, nothing for me? I mean, Cindy, come on. And Joseph Morning is good to see you, sir, a fellow podcaster. Met him at Cape Con this year. Hope you're having a good night. And Ace Bonnie, we're glad you made it too. And made it in time. Woohoo! Sarah just came in under the wire. And Sarah, here's my reminder that you're heading out tomorrow instead of today. I got all kinds of forgetful. Sarah wished me a happy journey to Georgia this morning. I think it was Friday. And Skunk Rocker is here. Everyone at HC Setup says hi. Well, glad to see you here, Skunk. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow at HalloCon. And nice. The other three are nice. I'm kind of mean. Anyway, Ace, that's a great question. Let's get to that when we're done with everyone else here. And Damian Walburn, I know I was fumbling for one more name, and it's like Damian and I may have a collab in evidence down at HalloCon, and I'm excited. I really am. And yes, Damian is the star of HalloCon. I'm just the
Brian always forgets the people he works with.
Yeah.
Brian sometimes forgets Brian. Are you kidding? I mean, seriously, this happened to me not all that long ago. I was talking to one of my super fans, getting him some of my latest books, and I was very, very tired, and I'd had a rough day, and I caught a very bad case of aphasia. Look it up. That's what Google's for, kids. And I blanked out on his name and his wife's, and I've known them forever. And I blanked out on Cookie's name and mine. I just had a total wipeout of names, and I told him, I said, dude, I'm having a senior moment here. Help me with your name. And he thought that was funny. He thought I was joking. And I'm like, no, at my age, this is an issue. It's not a joke.
Well, I'll tell you what, I saw Carl this weekend, and when I gave him a hug, I know Clyde halfway came out of my mouth.
No!
I don't know if he heard it.
It's an honor for me, but a real slam for Carl. So
I know when it was coming out, I was like, no, this is Carl. Don't stop. It was too late.
Oh, man. Oh, so it's good it's not just me. Anyway, and plus, thank you, Ace. And Ryan Permison, happy Thursday, CBS crew. How are you? We are doing well. Hope you are too. And I will not, Cindy Kemp will not be at HowlCon, but y'all have fun. She will be at QuadCon instead. So definitely check that out. She is going to have all kinds of amigurumi, books, and comics in her possession that you need to wrest from her in exchange for lucre. Anyway, let's see. Ryan, we'll get to your question. And yes, you are, Joseph. And let's see. And we'll get to that question, too. We may have a lot of questions, a lot to answer for before the night's over. And good evening to Ted Davies Artistry. Don't forget, Grim 101, Book 2 is currently funding on Kickstarter. And we hope that you'll give it some love, along with Memoirs of the Morbid from Grant Lankard, Memoirs of an Angel, which is in its final few days, from Brian Rodman. I'll remind you who he is later. And all kinds of cool projects coming in before the holiday season starts. So definitely loosen up your purse strings, because you could get in on some really good reading in the next couple of months. And thank you, Ryan, so much for sharing this episode. And don't forget, Ted Davies Artistry is in full flower Tuesday mornings at 10 o'clock with TED Talks, as well as The Truthmongers with Glenn B. Fleming on Wednesday night at 7 p.m. all times Eastern. And Drinking with Davies is back to weekly production on Friday nights at 7 p.m. Yay! I
think it's only weekly production of actually having a show. I don't think they stop drinking.
Oh no! You got to watch these people drink all the time. Anyway, definitely check out Ted Davies Artistry. We're happy at the Rising Tide Broadcast Network to have them. And there we go. Ted, says Sarah. Okay, anyway, and Ryan, again, thank you very much for sharing. And Lupin, we're not trying to hold off talking to you, but Ace has. Let's get through the questions real fast. Or actually, no. Let's. Do you want to do the reveal, Lupin the Third? You guys better check your valuables.
What are you talking about? It's just me here. Wait, who are the hell are you?
Uh-oh, sounds like violence.
Keegan, are you sure this thing is on? You sure Inspector Synagogue is going to look at this? Okay, hold on.
Yeah, okay.
Are you guys there?
Yeah.
Hey, guys! Hi, Inspector Synagogue.
Oh, well, Jody McFee now has a stunt double.
Yeah,
otherwise, I was going
to back right now. He said something about he had to do some type of comic book show and whatnot, and got some books in here.
Yeah,
got some notes and stuff. I'm just here to mess around with Inspector Synagogue to let him know it's like I got control of the CGC Studios right now. I'm about to take over his company.
Oh, goodness! Oh my gosh!
It's like network for the podcast. That's great.
Yeah.
Are you mad as hell and not going to take it anymore?
Nah. It's just one of those things that Fujiko kind of liked, and I just up there like, well, why not take over? Why not take it over? Eventually, do what I need to do, keep it away from her, give it to her, and move on to my next thing. Well, how's everybody?
We are dandy. Good. Glad to see you here. I mean, we'll kind of miss Joe, but anyway. Maybe you want to take this question then, Lupin. Ace Bobby would like to know. I have a question for the Four Horsemen. Do you prefer traditional or digital art, or maybe covers? I think the basic question is: do you prefer working? And I know Eric and the guy that Lupin is sitting in for are artists, but how do you feel about? I think Eric has just voiced his opinion there.
Well,
except for the hard of hearing,
it's still digital in the same aspect as traditional. So I have to go traditional. I'd rather have that painting in my hand. Walking through the museum. With my whole janitorial dress on, thinking that hey, nobody's going to see me. They don't have any idea what I'm here for. And quick, I got the picture and I'm out of there.
There you go. Well, it's easier than like an NFT.
Again,
hey, I'm getting ready to jump in this NFT thing.
It's too easy to sit behind a keyboard and whatnot. Then once you do that, it's like you have to have your own security. But then again, my gang, what am I going to do? I got a samurai and a marksman. and then the last person, who knows what she's going to think. I could call Ami. Ami is a good hacker. She might be able to do something for me.
That's a good point.
I be able to
and Lupin, if you ever take over, I've got this buddy over in England who keeps telling me that Joe keeps falling down on the job and that he relies on computers to do his damn lettering for him. But, there's a thing called if you could steal an Ames lettering guide, I'm just saying,
Matter of fact, I might steal his. Just leave me the name.
No problem. We can do that.
Go there and just be like, hey, nice artwork.
There you go. There you go. Clyde, do you have an opinion as a reader?
No, as a reader, I get things through Comixology. I get things from the shop. I own a few pieces of original art, and I treasure them. But I'm adaptable. I'm really not. I don't have a real a hill to die on for this. So no, neutral. I'm Swiss.
Is this like that? Well, I'll amplify on that in my own case. There was a case in 1930, I think it was, where a man declared that Switzerland loves peace. I love peace. Therefore, I am Switzerland. So, speaking of Switzerland, I agree with Clyde. As long as it looks like funny books, I don't care if it's ones and zeros. Of course, I prefer traditional media simply because that's what I grew up with. But the thing is, through digital, I can lay my hands on probably a virtually complete set of Action Comics if I want to read them. Whereas getting the physical ones may be a little pricey and dicey for me. As far as the artwork goes, the skill with a lot of artists have, including our own Mr. Hawkins here, is such that I can't tell if it was done digitally or freehand. If the artist is good, it is just another tool. So, what do you guys think? Do you prefer digital?
The tools are better now for drawing digitally, where you can emulate traditional. I mean, it's hard to distinguish now. I mean, before when people started doing digital art, you could tell it was digital. As for collecting, I still prefer physical books. I like the feel of the book in my hand. I like to flip through the pages. I like to sniff them, stuff like that. But drawing, I prefer to do it digitally. But if you want to make extra money off of pages and stuff, you need to do it traditionally. That way, that you could sell your pages and stuff like that. Like, I do shows, I do commissions, and they're all traditional. I still draw traditionally, but for the comics and especially the expensive comics, comic board's expensive. Ink is expensive.
That's true.
Once I got the tablet and I can do everything on the computer, it's not so bad. But as a collector, I still prefer my books in hand. In hand.
Yes, and in flight because he can't throw his
laptop across
the room.
Maybe
it could happen though. It could happen tonight. So anyway, hope that covered what you needed to know, Ace, and thank you for that question. Ryan Permisson asks, favorite fantasy adventure series besides Memoirs of an Angel?
Zombies World of Oz.
That's mine. Yeah. Actually, outside of those two, definitely Zombie for World of Oz. The first 116 issues of Conan the Barbarian. Because they were all written by Roy Thomas. They had a continuity. The Conan of his last issue was not the same as the Conan who started out the run. Plus, there was some beautiful artwork by people like John Buscema, Barry Windsor Smith, excuse me, and Neil Adams and such. So that would be one of my favorites. Plus a 5-issue run of Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser that DC did as a Sword of Sorcery with some early work by Howard Chaykin in there. So those are my favorites. How about you guys? Pan?
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. Actually, I think all comic books are fantasy adventures. They're not real. Oh, they're fantasy.
Okay.
What?
My captain says this here. He's not really into the quote unquote fantasy genre, and he could only comment on what he has read most often in that genre. It would have to be Red Sonja.
Good choice.
That's a
Good
good one.
choice. Definitely. And some good
Me
work
personally,
done.
I care less. As long as the value, I'll take it.
So he'll be lining up some art, some Frank Thorne originals before the end of the evening. So, Clyde, how about you?
Well, my wife really liked ElfQuest and got me into reading it. And for an independent comic, an early independent, I love the artwork. I like the early stories. But I kind of came into that because of her. My own thing I discovered on my own is kind of an odd one. Is the Adventures of Warlord in DC Comics.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but when that came out with a blend of modern day Scatarus, the Inside World, and everything, really resonated. The first parts of it, it went on for quite a while. I didn't follow it the whole run, but the introduction and the first adventure arcs, I really like Travis Morgan, and the Mike Grell artwork, of course, helped sell it. But that's one of my favorites. This comes to mind offhand. In formative years, where it's like, I kind of needed this fantasy title right then. It just fit what I was looking for a book. That's a pretty strong one. Yeah.
That's good choices. Good choices all. Ryan Permison is going to his local comic shop this weekend for Halloween Comic Fest. Any trades he should look for during the sale?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Wraith.
Always
Welcome
look
to
for the
Christmas
most
Land.
valuable book out there. If you don't have the money for it, steal it.
That's right. That's right. Get the Cavity Search of the Gods.
Yeah, I'm going to say Craven's Last Son, of course, and Daredevil Reborn. Or Born Again. But another Spider-Man one that I like, and maybe a lot of people don't like, is the Death of Jean DeWolf.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
That was good. I forgot about that. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wait, Clyde?
Yes.
You said The Wraith? I started watching on Nosferatu.
What'd you think?
Well, I'm almost done with season 1 already. And we talked about that just the other night. I'm really disappointed. I'm not going to see a season 3 because it's canceled. But I'm going to buy the book now so I can read more about it.
Well, they were trying to spin it off into its own series, but I think it could be they did some things that kind of messed with the original story that I wish they hadn't. But they were doing it, hoping to make it an ongoing thing, and it's not really, as he wrote it, it's not really designed for that. So. I'm kind of glad they ended it where they did, although they changed something. They did the thing where they go, we could just leave this the way it was, or we could fiddle with it for no reason.
Yeah.
Let's fiddle with it for no reason.
Oh dear. And my answer is, Ryan, take some of the stuff that you have already read and write down the names of the creators you've enjoyed, whether it's story or art, and go into your shop and look for more of the same. For instance, if you like Joe Hill on, say, Lock and Key, then go look for more Joe Hill. He's a very prolific comics author. Or if you like, say, the old stuff with Roy Thomas or Stan Lee, pick out something like that. Maybe even go back to the beginning of certain series that you've enjoyed and see the foundations upon which current creators have built the current mythology. So that would be my suggestion. So hope that helps you too. We are here to help. Follow us for more life hacks. And Davies Artistry says, yes, Clyde.
No, hold on 1 second, because you remember the guy back in the back, he does have to answer the question too.
Oh, I thought you answered for him. My apologies.
No, I just told him. I just told him my
him.
personal opinion. I just told him my personal opinion. Just take the most expensive one.
Okay,
according to him, back there in the back here, all tied up and whatnot. Things that I would look for trade paperback wise would be stuff that is either hard to come by, that was only done one time and one time only, like X-Men God Loves Man Kills, or like a major storyline like the Challenge of the Gods or the Contest, stuff like that, during George Perez run of everything. So that would be what you would look for. Look for those things that were hard to come by, or was like so established that they collected it all to make it easier for you to read.
Excellent.
point.
Good answer. You know, that also spurs the thought in me. Look for licensed properties, because licensed properties are produced for a limited time only. For instance, when DC used to have like the classic Star Trek franchise, and when it moved on to Wildstorm, DC lost the ability to reprint a lot of those old volumes. So if you come across those, like any of the Star Trek, some of the I think it's IDW, or no, Boom Studios originally, or Marvel had Doctor Who. If you enjoy any of those franchises and you see those, maybe grab those, because those have a definite shelf life. So anyway, we hope that helps you. And Chris drinks like a fish when she's married to Ted Davies' artistry, or so Ted claims. Actually, she is the star of Drinking with the Davies, and Ted is her cohort. Okay. And Clayton Merwin, Art of the Hero Maker. Glad to see you here, Clayton. Finally found the time to catch the show. Glad you have it. And Joe D. McFlash. I don't know who you're talking about. You know, for all I know, Joe's in the back room down there, in Chicago in his underwear, for all I know.
Yeah, he's still struggling. We got Gene covering him right now.
Oh, then he's fine, man. We won't have to worry about him for a while. And listening on the slide from the evening job, Molly Daniels, glad to see you here. And here we go. Oh, and Sarah says, Ted, the Hulk trade paperbacks for the Immortal Hulk saga. Forgot to mention that while sharing yesterday's loot, BKM can explain why he recommended it to her. Yes, because the Immortal Hulk takes the unique, very Halloweenish sort of aspect by turning it from a superhero book to a horror book, and it works. It really works. Immortal rocks, definitely. And it's got to be traditional if I'm collecting, not digital, says Clayton Merwin. There you go. And more comments here. Small comment dump. And it's okay, Sarah. We all were noobs at one point. Clayton Merwin draws everything traditionally, but all of the coloring is digital. And Lissy says, I prefer physical books, but Eric's grandchildren are little nightmares, she claims. Oh, I refuse to believe that. So they're safer in digital form. And Ace Bonnie reminds us that we can't lick the spine on digital. You just watch. Thank you for the response, gentlemen. That's a good point there.
I might have to learn that trick.
That's true. Last time I did, I shorted my iPad out. Anyway, let's see. One likes to copy him and throw books. Oh, dear. Eric is no one's role model. And Clayton Merwin says Barry Windsor Smith was my fave artist on Conan. He did some incredible work on there. And Sarah says, like the device. That's code, isn't it? And Planet Hulk with David Finch cover art are awesome too, Sarah. Definitely. And everyone's agreeing with it. And always a loophole for licking.
Moving on.
That probably sounded better in your head than before either one of us said it. And Damian Waldron, who is going to be at HalloCon this weekend. He draws digital, but he draws digital. He buys digital.
You don't have to worry about me showing up.
Oh, there you go. Well, that's true. You'll be on the lam, won't you? And one step ahead of the coppers heading for the county line. And I love the real thing, but I have no room. Yeah. Now that's an issue with me too. Also, I learned to love digital when we moved to Indiana, and I was in a second floor apartment. You know, long box versus something that weighs about 11 ounces. No contest. So anyway, we all are in the matrix, Sarah. This is just the best my programming can do. Sorry, hon. Anyway, that is it for the comments. We are all caught up, and now I believe it is. Yay! Hooray for everyone. And I believe it is time to begin our comic reviews. We generally start in the space below me, and end up with Clyde as the gold standard to redeem us all. Sometimes
the redemption is very minimal.
It depends on how far away from the rails we are, which means you got your work cut out for you. Anyway, Lupin, as our special guest here, would you like to lead us off?
Sure, I have to see and understand the notes here, but wait, you talked about Senate Goddess here already? Good grief. Give me 1 second.
Hey, that looks like Amazonia, those great books that are available now on Comixology. Y'all, get them, including, and while you're at it, pick up the Zombie for World of Oz while you're there, too. Hashtag
sure
And we're
check
still
out-
on Indiegogo because I'm too lazy to go take it down.
take advantage of Eric's lethargy. So while you get Joe, are you
Police was
okay?
here. But did you see the police?
Man, you all right?
But at least I'm here.
Yes, thank goodness. Whew.
They left.
You sure now? You sure you're safe? You okay? Do we have to call the cops?
Shoot, I'm happy. They only got one hard drive, but I don't know why they want that hard drive though.
Show us on one of those Funko Pops where they touched you.
Let's see. They touched me
In the box?
there,
They touched him in the box.
and
In the
there, and up here, and right on the nose there.
God. Or it could be worse. Anyway,
I can't go inside the box.
yeah, I should show Joe. Joe, it could be worse.
I think
That's
Brian
enough out of
uses
you,
that
Brian.
now. Here's where I want you to touch me.
Oh, in that case, then. That's when we get the amigurumi out.
With that being stated here,
Dr. Eagle will take you.
Oh, what? Ooh.
Yeah.
He wants to see where you were all touched, and he has some experiments he'd like to do. So
I hear about those experiments. I was in college too, you know. So
Yeah.
anyway, let's let Joe D. McFee take the spotlight here with another great review from this great man. Joe, take it away, please.
Okay. So tonight's book falls in the line of what I've been trying to get people back on board of, looking at more of the female superheroes more out there than anything else. So when I first heard about this book, I was hyped up, hyper, was ready to get it, read it, and everything. However, there is a controversy behind it, which we're going to talk about later, but not during the review. But the book that we're going to talk about today is Nubia and the Amazons, which came out last week. It's going to be a 6-issue series here. It has multiple covers. Nice, pretty multiple covers there is, that is. The book is written by Stephanie Williams and Vita Ayala. Script is 100% Stephanie, and then the pencil was done by Alita Martinez. So pretty much this issue starts back from the very beginning about how Nubia is there on Themyscira as of right now. And it starts out with her having visions from a past memory about how she came through the Well of Souls here. So just to let you guys look at it here, it's like, there's Themyscira, and, she's kind of like in like this, this spot where she's actually having a memory about how she came out of the Well of Souls. Now, why did she come out of the Well of Souls here? You have to go back and read your Wonder Woman books because of the simple fact that there was a story arc dealing with her going into a version of Hades way back when, and she ended up dying in that adventure. So she's coming out of the Well of Souls, and now the purpose of the Well of Souls here is that it is a actual well where only the women who have suffered, how did they put it? It's like it has suffered a great deal, but is honorable to come back, will only come through that particular well to have another opportunity at life. So this is when, all of a sudden Nubia comes back, out of the well, and then Magdalene was there to greet her because she is the custodian of the well and everything, and she was kind of greeted her and let her know that she's with friends on Themyscira, which is the home of the Amazons and everything. And then, Hippolyta was there to greet her and everything. And, she, was pretty much was adopted again into the Amazon way of life. And then flash forward to present day, and it's like she's trying to figure out why was she dreaming about that. And lo and behold, not too long after she had the dream, skip past all of the advertisement, they talked about a little bit more about the Well of Souls and everything, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, here comes 5 more women coming out of the Well of Souls. It has been hundreds of years, since anybody have came through the Well of Souls. So Nubia was there to greet the women and to pretty much welcome them to Themyscira, because because if you come through the Well of Souls, you're deemed worthy of being an Amazon. And it was kind of like their introduction of what it's like to be on Themyscira and everything. So as they were going through the welcoming and everything, something was going on around the Well of Souls, because the Well of Souls have to be guarded at all times. So while they're going through like all the orientation and training and everything, back at what they called what was it called, Doom's doorway, where it was being guarded, going back to this other page here where it says elsewhere. That's Doom's gateway. This one guard witnessed something that kind of caught her interest and took a little bit of possession of her, if you could tell by the eyes there. So by the time all the orientation is done and everybody was, got used to the whole idea of what it's like to be an Amazon, they had their final celebratory welcoming dinner where all of them are officially introduced as sisters into the Amazon way of life. So you have all the introductions there. And then what is interesting is this character right there. We're going to talk about that character a little bit later, but for right now, that was like her introduction, and everybody was kind and gentle and everything until somebody was saying, hey, we need to talk to you about something weird is going on the other side of the island. So while Nubia goes out to talk about what was going on the other side of the island, here is the guard that was there at Doom's doorway, who was possessed. And she was like, oh, it's not like me to be late for these types of things. It's like, did I miss anything out of ordinary? And she just seemed really, really kind of out of it and everything. And the more questions that they was asking her, it's like, oh, it's okay, this, that, and the other. The stranger she got with her answers. Saying we got more advertisements in the way and everything. And then the reason why Nubia was pulled to the side is because Doom's doorway has to have a champion, meaning that there has to be another contest to determine who actually guards that doorway. And that individual has to be strong enough to resist the force of that doorway. And Nubia has been putting that off for the longest time. However, there's no other choice at this point. Things are getting so bad that another contest will have to be done. However, it already looked like the damage has been done here. So while everything was going on and she returns back to the ceremony, there was an assassination attempt. So it makes you wonder what's going on here. And we got more advertisements. And then here comes the visions about Themyscira and having Diana and all these other things and all this sorrow. And again, another advertisement. More death and destruction and everything. And then the guard that was there wakes up. Having no clue what had truly had happened afterwards. She goes running and she goes finds one of the other sisters on the Amazon on Themyscira, and she kind of almost wanted to admit something was wrong, something that she did. And then you see here in Doom's Gateway, something is coming through the gate and something is not as it seems. And it ends right there. Now, outside of all of this advertisement for Task Force Z and all of these other DC books coming out later, it was a pretty decent read. The reason I say it's a pretty decent read is because it's dealing with Nubia taking over as the Queen of the Amazons, and the fact that all these visions about what Themyscira used to be and the danger that Doom's doorway holds, and the likelihood of not having a true champion for Doom's doorway is a great concern, because we don't know what that doorway hides. And now, since the doorway is open, we don't know what's about to get ready to come through either. Now, this is supposed to also be, this first book is also supposed to be the first prelude book to another series called The Trials of the Amazons, which is a further tale about what's going on with Doom's doorway. So we're going to have in this series how Nubia and Themyscira is going to deal with it, and then there's going to be another offshoot story dealing with those who are worthy enough to be in the contest, dealing with Doom's doorway. Overall, the first issue was pretty good. It wasn't as good as like what I would say like a Wonder Girl #1, the whole Yara Flora type deal, but it wasn't as bad as Immortal Wonder Woman. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I will say that this book is more of a 6 out of 7, maybe 6 out of 10, I should say, maybe a 7 out of 10, depending on how you want to look at the overall presentation. Now, I did remove one particular thing that bothered me, and it goes back to the character that I pointed out to. It was that we will talk about later, hopefully, if we have time, but it was something that the writer did that I just hate. I hate it so much that it needs its own separate discussion. But removing that out of the equation is still a solid 6, maybe 7 out of 10.
Excellent. All right. Thank you very much, Joe.
Yep.
Yeah, that was good. Excellent. Super. Yeah, it's, I'm looking at the art in that and everything, and it's one of those books that looks competent. But, on the issue you were teasing earlier, I am completely in agreement with you. Which
it was set up perfectly for something else to happen.
Yeah.
And like I said, I gotta keep my lips sealed until we get to that point.
Hopefully we'll get to it tonight. So anyway, how's that for a tease, people? Clayton Merwin says, by the way, just wanted to say hi to Clyde, Eric, and Lupin. Lupin has left the building, but we have regular Joe D. McFee here. We're glad to have him. And don't forget our illustrious host, Brian K. Morris. Wow, illustrious now I am. Thank you, Clayton. Also check out artoftheheromaker.com, also on Facebook. And OMG, the pops. That needs to be a status with no explanations, Sarah. And they booped the nose. Those damn nose boopers, I'm telling you, they're everywhere. You can't spit without hitting one. So anyway, that leads us now to Mr. Eric S. Hawkins with his review of his book this week. Let's see what Eric just absolutely loves this week because he never has a cynical review.
You know what? Hey, I tell you how it is. If I don't like the book, I'm not going to keep buying a book 5 issues and hate it every issue and keep giving them money because, if you don't buy what you don't like, they'll stop making it eventually. But someone else here just keeps buying and buying and buying. So
we'll address that later.
Vinyl number 5. Haven't read it. Well, maybe you shouldn't have shown that cover. House of
Look
Slaughter.
up in your right-hand corner of the screen, Eric. We're covered.
House of Slaughter. I bought the blank cover. I just like blank covers, and it looks like it'd be pretty interesting. This one I didn't even know was coming out until Mr. Rodman mentioned it the other night. The Winchester Mystery House. Mm-hmm. So I can't wait to read that one. And I haven't read this one yet, but I'm looking forward to Moon Knight because I love me some Moon Knight, obviously. And probably the most important book, it came this week. Maybe it came Saturday. The Essential Guide to Comic Book Lettering. Mm-hmm. Which, but it's got all kinds of cool stuff in here. So if you want to up your lettering game, I'd recommend getting it. It's available on Amazon right now, I believe. I've had it pre-ordered for months, and just became available. And there's all kinds of cool stuff in here. The only thing is, they don't actually use Photoshop. They use Illustrator, and I don't.
Yeah, Illustrator.
I don't pay the extra for Illustrator in my subscription. I can make things work. It's no problem. And I could probably find Illustrator for free anyway. But what I ended up getting to review this week was Cross to Bear by Aftershock Comics.
Nice cover.
And the cover made me think of Mike Mignola and the Gotham by Gaslight. That's kind of gave me that feel about it. And a similar story, Jack the Ripper's in this. Let me get all the names for you here. I'm going to butcher them because they're difficult. So this is by writer Marko Strajanovic, artist Sinisa Banovic, colorist Dorde Gradvanovic with Alahaz Tomek, letterer Taylor Esposito, and incentive cover by Tim Bradstreet.
Ooh.
But $4.99, 32 pages, full color. It's a thick book. All these other ones are fairly thin, but so I didn't mind the $5 for this one. Really good, and it's about Jack the Ripper was never caught because no one was looking for him in the Wild West. No one except the Order. So the Order is descendants of the Crusaders from medieval times, and they hunt unnatural things, and Jack the Ripper is an unnatural thing. And this story is basically about two of those descendants of the Crusades in the Order, who have to go hunting down Jack the Ripper. But they're brothers, and they are kind of estranged. One quit the Order and moved out to Tombstone. And I thought it was so cool when the other younger brother went out to Tombstone. I was like, oh, cool, he's in Tombstone. He finds his brother. And at first, I wasn't sure it was about Jack the Ripper or not. It starts in Boston. Let me put this up so I can make sure I'm showing the right thing here. Boston. And I'm really digging the art and how everything's laid out. Perspective, because I'm horrible at perspective. And the younger brother here, Simon, I do believe, he knows he's not as good a hunter as his older brother, and he tells that here, but he's fooled everybody into thinking he is. But some of the higher members in the Order don't believe he is. So they go hunting. They're going to kill some guys, but Jack the Ripper has beat them to the punch. So now they got to find Jack the Ripper. So he follows him out to Tombstone in the Midwest and finds his brother there. He didn't even know he was there. His brother thinks he's there to find him, but obviously he's not because he's looking for Jack the Ripper. Yeah, I'm going to tell you real quick. One thing I didn't like about the story is this 2 pages here. Only because it looks like it's a 2-page spread, but it is not a 2-page spread. If you're going to do 9 panels per page and put them next to each other, you need to change it up a little bit. Because you have to read this page, then this page, but it looks like it could do this, and it just doesn't. So other than that, the book is really good. You get some. You don't get a lot of graphic gore. I mean, there is some blood. There's a little bit of blood. You don't see much of Jack the Ripper at all, but you see a big bar fight with the brothers fighting in the Western saloon because they don't like limeys there. And everybody in here that's in the order is, well, they're descendants of the Crusaders. They're limeys. They're from Great Britain, and apparently the people in Tombstone didn't like that, so there's a big old bar fight. But you get a ton of pages in here with very few ads until the very end. It was a really thick book. You're going to get your money worth out of this. And you get beautiful little stagecoach shots. And so Jack the Ripper is something that's always fascinated me. Jack the Ripper and H.H. Holmes. I like stories about them. I don't know if that makes me a little weird, but they're kind of cool. So I will probably continue to get this book because the story did interest me. The art reminded me of older Magnolia art. It's laid out good. Everything's really nice, and I like the dark shadows, which I don't do so much myself because I don't. When I do it, it looks like crap, or to me, it looks like crap. But it was a fun book to read. It was. It wasn't. It didn't slow down. The pacing's really nice. You can keep reading it, and then it's over. You're wanting more. Kind of like Memoirs of an Angel, number 7, that and Nebulizer. Both of those I read and wanted more at the end. And now I have to wait. But other than that, I'm not going to go into a lot of details about it because it'll probably spoil stuff. So I am just going to go ahead and rate it and recommend it. I don't give real high marks on a lot of books, even if I like it, but I'm going to give this probably a 7.5 out of 10.
Nice.
That's high for you.
Yeah,
It is.
it really is.
Except for Geiger. I liked all the issues of Geiger, and I wish that was still going on. I'm hoping they come back out with some more of those.
Yeah. Now, who's the publisher on that, Eric?
Aftershock.
Aftershock. Okay. Yeah, I was kind of surprised because you don't see much comic book work these days from Timothy Bradstreet.
No, he just did one of the covers, and I didn't get that one. But you don't see a lot of Western stuff either. And if you do, it's usually crap. With skeleton horses, and I have to toss them. But this one,
somebody is asking about the names of the people who wrote on me.
Oh, Sarah, yeah, hold on here. So you got Billy Bo Jim Bob, Billy James Jim Bob, and Joe Schmo.
Exactly.
Those are my favorites.
And it's interesting because I think that they are all from across the pond, all of them. So it's I'm looking forward to their take on the Western world because it's probably through history they've read and TVs. Because the writer, he did say his favorite Western is Butch and Sundance. So.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully it doesn't end like that. Oh, spoiler alert. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Somebody's going to get a kick to the groin. But anyway.
I like that era, in books and stuff. So it interested me.
Very cool. That's cool. Now, anyway, your efforts to pronounce the creators' names has not gone. Your noble attempt has not gone unnoticed. Let's see. Cindy Kep says that's easy for you to say, and Sarah is laughing herself to tears with trying to pronounce the names. And Sarah wants to know what were the names again, Eric?
That was the comment that I read.
Billy Bo Jim Bob.
Right.
And Lissy says, let me borrow that Winchester book when you've read it. And I need to borrow that book too. Probably not the best thing to say after admitting there's a mini Eric here. So,
And then waiting, grr.
we're with you, Ace. We feel everybody's pain here. We want
hey, all these names had weird symbols on top of the letters. I didn't even know what they meant. I was like, what is that?
It means they need to adopt pen names if they're going to get read on this show, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Or,
Bill
I'm just going to
Bob
start
and
holding up
Bob
a
and
graphic.
Roy and Earl.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Names that are like, 26 letters and only 2 are consonants. Yeah, I get it. Well done, Eric. Well done. And yeah, here we go. Cindy Cap remembers their names. Bob, Fred, Sam, and Sue. Thank you, Cindy Cap.
There was a Sue, wasn't there? Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Cindy Cap, CKOEPP.com. Please sign up for a free monthly newsletter. And Ace Body says names like. Well said, Ace. Well said. Well, now it's time for my reviews, and I think I'm taking Eric's place as staff cynic here. At least
Hey, you didn't buy Checkmate again, did you?
Please tell me you bought the last issue of Checkmate, because I'm curious. I'm just curious. Yeah, you
He's keeping that book alive.
Yes.
They would stop publishing it if he would quit buying it.
Yeah,
I stopped after 1.
If I had known how disappointing it was, I would. But we'll get to that in a moment because I have another book that's disappointing that I'm going to point out. Exciting Comics was a title from the golden age of comics, and with the public domain being what it is or would like to be, Antarctic Press revived it very recently, not necessarily picking up the numbering, but it does have the legacy number up here, which in this case is number 85. The purpose of this book originally was to spotlight new versions or remakes of certain public domain characters. Okay? Now, behind this very Mignola-like, we all see Mignola anymore. That's all we see. But behind this rather early Mignola-esque cover, who, by the way, she doesn't appear in this book, I don't think. We have we're back to that again. We have a revival of Jet Girl. Oh, they're looking for contributions, by the way, gentlemen. But anyway, they have a new version of Jet Girl, a new heroine who apparently is doing something in a factory, stopping somebody who's shrinking other people and dropping a big canister on him. He can't feel his legs anymore. And so she goes home and is really happy about the night's work. Some heroine she is. And I know you probably wouldn't have wanted me to become a superhero, but I wanted to keep myself safe and make you proud, Dad. Yeah, paralyzing your enemies. That's a real good start. Then they're continuing this Big House Blues. And what that is supposed to be a continuation of, I have no idea. That's followed by a comic story here that is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 pages with no title. No title. But we do have the credits along the bottom here. And the Nature Boy story that was been in the last 2 issues does not appear in here, nor does Sumo Boy, but he's on the back cover. And then there's another story here that it's a continuation from last time. No idea who these people are supposed to be. It's not exciting, and the stories are not all that good. Sorry?
Who's putting that out? Is it Antarctic Press?
Yes, it's Antarctic Press.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty. It's got shiny colors and everything. The production values are good. But as far as being a continuation of any sort of public domain character, and the thing is, starting in the next issue, now next issue is going to have Niobe. We do know that. That's Larry's creation. And it's going to go up to 40 pages a month, but I don't know if I'm going to stay too much longer past that to read Niobe. This is it. And a lot of the stories just read like fan work, if I may use that term. It is not. The writing is not. I don't feel up to professional levels. It's as it is only because the production values. I'm giving it a 4 out of 10. So. And here it is.
Yeah.
The last of the last.
One more to go.
Boo!
Yeah,
they're going to keep printing it as long as Brian keeps buying it.
They better keep their promise. If they want to extend the number of issues like they did for the first season of Batman: The Adventures Continue, that's one thing. This is only slightly better than last month. This character does appear in here, but I have no idea who Damon Rose is supposed to be or why anyone's so scared of him. And it starts out with a fight, and they introduce Green Arrow, Master Marksman, Robin, Batman's son, Talia al Ghul, Notorious Mastermind Assassin, Steve Trevor, Spy Master, Bones, Operations, Manhunter, Superhero. The Question.
Where's Lois Lane?
Sorry?
Where's Lois Lane?
Now, Lois Lane is, she has been taken by somebody. In fact, it's Damon Rose, who she says resembles her son. And they drive off. And in this issue's Waste of Space.
Wow. A double page spread just to show somebody driving a car.
Yeah. And there's some nice dialogue in here. There's we see Jan and Zaina from the Wonder Twins, and it does have a twist ending with someone, but we hopefully next issue we'll find out why Mark, the person calling himself Mark Shaw, is wanting to off Damon Rose. Again, a lot of what this reminds me of, and it's something a lot of us writers have to concern ourselves with. When we create characters, we have this whole history of them in our heads. We know where they were from the cradle all the way up to this point. We know their favorite foods. We know where they went to high school. They know who they kissed on their first date. But none of that explanation of who a lot of these people are comes out in this book. It just assumes you know them. And the art by Alex Maleev is good. The dialogue, of course, I say Brian Michael Bendis is one of the best dialogue guys in the business right now. But this is unlike a lot of things he's done, like his Daredevil or his Avengers. Or his Alias. It doesn't read like his heart's in it. And and there's one more issue to go, and I promise you I will not pick up another issue of this. It is. I probably will reread the whole series to see if it starts making sense then. But as it is, 3 out of 5.
Ooh, that's brutal. Right.
And you know how I grade. I'm pretty easy. So if that doesn't steer you away from that piece of nothing will. But something made up for it this week. Now, I've been seeing ads for something that HBO Max is doing, and they aren't normally into audio. I'm a big fan of old time radio, like The Shadow and The Adventures of Superman. Great.
Well, you remember the old time radio?
Well, yeah, that came late in my later years. You remember when it was being produced live, right? Yes, yes, I do. And I remember like crystal radios. I remember just standing in the cornfield, just waiting for something to come down from the heavens and the lightning. But anyway, there's a brand new thing called Batman: The Audio Adventures, starring Jeffrey Wright as Batman. And I'm like, ooh, yeah, definitely. John Leguizamo, Rosario Dawson. In fact, I looked at the Internet Movie Database for this show. Jason Sudeikis as Hamilton Hill. Alan Tudyk as Alfred. Rosario Dawson plays Catwoman. That's no surprise. Vicky Vale is Brooke Shields.
Wow.
Yeah.
You had me going till that.
Yeah, I don't know. I can handle that. I see her more as a Lee Merriweather type. Ray Wise is in it. Kenan Thompson, Tim Meadows, Seth Meyers as Jack Ryder. And here's the one I think is inspired. Brent Spiner as the Joker.
Hmm.
Oh, I can see that.
Interesting.
Huh.
Yeah, it's like, gentlemen, you have my attention. Now, the writer of the series and producer is an ex-Saturday Night Live alum and head writer for a couple of years named Dennis McNichols. And he does a series of vignette stories in here that lead up to the audio production. I can't say I've heard of most of these people, but I do know a couple. I think Emma Kubert is penciling the Catwoman story, and I believe she's the granddaughter of Joe Kubert, if I remember correctly. But this is actually quite interesting. These are all tales that kind of are interlinked and lead up to the big the big series on audio. Some of the art is very realistic, some of it is cartoonish. We have Robin. You just saw the Riddler. Two-Face is in a very good story here. That really demonstrates his binary type of character. There's a better shot of Two-Face right there. All right. And, of course, you can't have a Batman book without you-know-who. So,
Batman?
Yeah, Batman. Yeah, he appears once or twice in here, too. Jack Ryder is in here. Just
no price stuff
here. And there's also a sequence in here where this guy who's kind of like the KG Beast is looking to beat up Batman. And Batman just kind of like takes all the wind out of him by dressing him down and saying that, you should know I was this close to just sending Robin after you tonight. And everyone from that point calls him the Robin problem. But there's a lot of wit, a lot of humor, a lot of action in this book. It's $10 for 80 pages, slick cover, but kind of newsprint-ish type interiors. Really looks and reads good. This makes up for those other two things. This thing goes into a bag and will be loved for many years to come. And I'm definitely after this going to check out the audio adventures if I can. I'm just really impressed with this book, and I am, especially after those two, I'm going to have to go wash my hands. I'm giving this one probably a 9 out of 10. It's definitely worth looking at, definitely worth picking up. So definitely check out Batman the Audio Adventure Special from DC Comics. And that's my review this week. Thank you. Thank you.
So it's an audio adventure?
Yeah, they're doing like audio stuff with Batman, which I think it's an area that is really underdeveloped. Because
it just seems weird. HBO Max audio adventure. You're thinking visuals if it's HBO Max, but yeah,
that's what I'm thinking. And I'm not aware of like maybe they do, and somebody is more aware than I am. Please chime in. But maybe they've got like some sort of graphics or it's like Lazy Man's way out.
It says it's a podcast.
20 minutes,
Yeah, it says it's a podcast. So
yeah, and I think it's something a lot of maybe us creators should be looking at.
Yeah,
as kind of cynically speaking, an alternative revenue stream. But otherwise, I think it's something, especially with people, like you said, doing more podcasts and listening to podcasts and audiobooks. I can say myself in the last 10 years, print and ebooks have been doing this as far as yearly sales levels. Audiobooks have been doing nothing but this. So it might be something that we all need to look into. So anyway, that's my review. And Sarah, I need to create a pen name in Wingdings. You do that thing. You just do that thing. And Big House Blues is original and creation by Dan Sane, I think, and so is Sumo Boy. Yeah, I've liked, technically speaking, I like a lot of his work, but I'm just not thrilled with how whoever is putting this book together is editing it. And that's another problem with Exciting Comics. and I think I said it for an earlier review, that the early issues were really great. I really enjoyed them. But in the last last 4 or 5, it's like the stories don't come to a logical end. They just end. It's like, okay, we've got X number of pages. Well, we want to give this some. We want to give this, a little more. And we'll just cut up this one, usually Steelhouse Blues, that gets the worst of it. So that's why, I'm, one of my issues with Exciting Comics, and I'm giving them a couple more issues, and then it's on the chopping block. Checkmate. As of next issue, I'm telling my comic monger, do not save it anymore for me. So, and Ben Dunn has moved away from reboots or updates to original indie creators' work. And that's okay. He's always been a champion of that, since day one. But I still am disappointed because there is so much to be mined in the public domain and brought to a new audience, which is what public domain is for. So I think it is moving away from the original intention, Damien. By the way, Damien Waldron will be at HalloCon this coming weekend to make up for my earlier faux pas. Yeah, seriously, Eric is right on the money there. He took the original idea of L. Frank Baum's and added his own twist to it and made something transformative. Something amazing. So that's where I'm at. And
the audio podcast coming early 2022.
Yeah, there we go. I'll be writing the audio adventures after I get the novelization done. Ace Bonnie, you might want to keep the comic you can for toilet paper. No, I'm wanting something a little more absorptive, and
he needs at least 2-ply.
Yeah, I've got to have at least 2 issues at a time, man. I got a lot of territory to cover. And I wanted to do
hey, you can't wipe crap with crap.
Point well taken. Well said.
It's going to get messier.
Yeah, God, 2 hours later, he's still there. So anyway, and I'm not sure how it would clog the pipes anyway. And I wanted to do a Realmer X podcast show for a while. Dude, we need to talk this weekend because Damien Waldron will be at HoloCon.com. And audiobooks vary a lot by genre. Lit RPG, they tend to do well. Sci-fi, not so much. Yeah, the problem, I could see sci-fi, especially with like a lot of the newer stuff where it's a lot of concepts and everything, may not fare well. But I would think older stuff like, classic stuff.
Time Machine could do okay.
Yeah, H.G. Wells, Donald Wollheim, Gardner Fox, all the classic ones. I could see that doing well. It sounds like I need to give myself a challenge in 2022.
Sandstein on Sandstein as an audiobook.
We are working on that. we are working on it. That's something I've been putting off way too long. We need to get that done. So anyway, thank you, Cindy Cap. Thank you, Damien. Thank you, Ace, and everyone. And so that leaves the one, the only, the gold standard here, Mr. Clyde Hall.
Yay. No build up, no pressure. That's good. Yeah, fine.
Yeah, So,
don't fail us now, Clyde.
It would be more pressure if you went first.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. He's our cleanup man. He's got to clean up what the rest of us destroy here. So anyway, here he is, and we all do look forward to Clyde's reviews. We really do. Here is the one, the only Clyde Hall. What have you got for us this week, sir?
Well, this week I have the best horror. I think it's the best horror book that I read this Halloween season, and it's kind of I expected a lot out of it, and I was not disappointed. That always feels good, because when things are built up and they let you down, I mean, it's easy to let you down if you've got it in your mind it's going to be good. If any of you have read Philadelphia, it is an excellent horror series that I got to actually do a preview review of it when it first came out, and was very impressed. It's done well. It's an ongoing series, and they just decided to do a spin-off series called Nita Hawes' Nightmare Blog. And I picked up the first issue last week and was very impressed with the high quality. It has a different tone than Philadelphia, but a lot of the things that make Philadelphia great are still present, including all of the creative team plus one. And I hope it doesn't spread them too thin because they are just excellent together as they continue to work on Philadelphia and this also. I hate to see too many plates spun by good creatives because, as we all know, that can lead to burnout. So I hope that's not the case because they're off to a rip-roaring start with this first issue. Nita Hawes' Nightmare Blog #1 is from Image Comics. It's $3.99. It's written by Rodney Barnes. The art is by Jason Sean Alexander and Patrick Reynolds. Colors by Luis NCT. Letters by Marshall Dillon. And it is rated M for mature. So let me show you the visual goodness, which is Nita Hawes' Nightmare Blog. Beginning with a very, very not Minola cover. And then we get into, here's page 1. It's very, very urban. It has a pretty standard form of layout. You might be lulled into a false sense of security because this is a modern city, modern day. It has fear. It has some things like Gotham City does that would make you a little leery about being on the street. And then you turn a corner. So that sets the tone for the book. We go from the mundane world, and then all of a sudden we are poleaxed when it seems like everything is in its place and everything's proceeding along as we would expect. You know, some very beautiful facial expressions, good dialogue for conversations. I love this image of looking over a birthday cake with the candles lit. And then we end up with moments of sheer panic and terror. And I'm not going to show you, I showed you one really good splash page of horror. There's a lot, several good ones in here. They are almost like jump scares, some of them. So very effective, but I don't want to ruin the read for you, so I only showed one. There are some slight spoilers ahead if you have not read Philadelphia, which you absolutely should, by the way. So put that on your list of check it out because it's quite a good read, especially if you like modern vampiric tales. Okay, ways to make me happy with a horror comic from the very start. Name a character after a Hammer horror veteran who also happened to pen my favorite episode of the Night Stalker TV series. Give me a new antagonist who conjures another favorite horror movie, more recent than Hammer, but often equally overlooked. Introduce historical elements of spirituality and faith into a narrative. Even if you aren't a believer, when the dark things of a story believe fully in you as a means to their ends, that can be unsettling. Set it in a modern city with a fascinating history. Now, most cities have a history in their portfolios, but some are really, really outdoing themselves. In this case, Baltimore, Maryland. Retain the entire creative team from Philadelphia with the addition of Patrick Reynolds for a spin-off series which wastes no time or talent, establishing itself as a worthy expansion of their universe, but one possessed of its own driving spirit. That's just what the crew helming Nita Hawes' Nightmare Blog #1 have done. Since it concerns the ex of Philadelphia protagonist Jimmy Sangster and gives Nita her own slice of macabre to deal with. She's a professor teaching a parapsychology 101 course at Morgan State University while dealing with a city that is home to demons. She knows that that's true because her brother says so. And he knows because he's not exactly adding to the ranks of the living anymore. She began her Nightmare Blog as a way of examining possible supernatural cases, eliminating most of the subscriber posts as dodges or mistakes or hustles, but uncovering the rarity, which it does as well, the actual haunting, possession, or paranormal activity involving people who need help, her kind of help. In the first issue, Rodney Barnes' story presents a bloodbath case of homicide, a patient in an elderly care facility who may be possessed, and investigators, both Nita and there's a detective named Frankie Harden, who are driven by guilt and by the dead. In our heroine's case, that's literal. In the detective's case, through homicide investigation burnout, when a peace officer no longer believes in peace, defending the weak, or making a difference, besides simply getting justice for the dead, that's the kind of detective that Frankie Harden has become. The villain of the piece is Corson. And if you're familiar with the tales of Solomon, you may recognize the name. He was once an angel, having been present for most of creation, and upon seeing God's baffling regard for lesser creatures than himself, namely you and me, Corson decided a heavenly reorganization was needed. That ended badly for the angel. So now he has an ectoplasmic chip on his shoulder the size of the 666th level of the abyss. And he has plans for making God's chosen creatures, which is, again, you and me, suck it. So Barnes delivers into a bit of, or delves into a bit of theological history here, in much the same way that he plumbed the history of epidemics in Philadelphia for the launch of his other series, Philadelphia. Corson is a formidable enemy for this piece, and his observations and his lapses into song are reminiscent of Azazel in the Denzel Washington film Fallen. Like Azazel, Corson enjoys suffering set to a beat that you can dance to. The scripting for number 1 is lean, streamlined, and mean by sudden turns. Just as the vampiric themes of Philadelphia, Barnes doesn't break much new ground in his explorations. What he does expertly is harvest horror from previously plowed fields, creating effective waves of foreboding and presenting strong, unique perspectives from his cast of characters. His presentation of Nita's backstory, in particular, delivers a literal gut punch of everyday terror. By the end of this issue, the protagonists have all your sympathy tied up in investment. How can this possibly end well for any of them? Artists Jason Sean Alexander and Patrick Reynolds, with colorist Luis NCT, rein in any overly dramatic storyboarding, and they reign instead through shadowy facial expressions captured masterfully, alongside with seeming innocuous panel layouts filled with horrors, giving Rob Bottin and Stan Winston a run for their credentials. There are some panels that remind you of The Thing, the 1982 version of The Thing. Together, they are a tag team which lulls you into a facade of comic book normalcy right before the folding chairs come out and they beat your senses into submission. In a preview for Philadelphia, I opined that Alexander was submitting his resume for a horror comics pantheon, which would include worthies like Bernie Wrightson and Bruce Jones and Gene Colan and Nestor Redondo and Mike Ploog. Reynolds' work here serves much the same. If you've liked him doing the Hellboy thing, wait for a sweaty palm syndrome to strike while holding this issue. Marshall Dillon backs their everything's normal until it's not aesthetic with supportive workaday fonts ranging from online websites with ghost duster adverts to common conversations to explosive and reactive special effects used sparingly. This crew knows horror, and they proved themselves with Nita Hawes' Nightmare Blog number 1 by capturing lightning twice in a similar Jacob's Ladder. Patrick Reynolds only adds to the overall quality, and together, the art of Reynolds and Alexander lends a visual jump scare that the expositional nature of number 1 desperately needs. This series launch turned into one of the best spooky reads I had for my 2021 Halloween season, and that's why my score for Nita Hawes' Nightmare Blog number 1 is the same as my score for Philadelphia number 1 was, 8.5 out of 10.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. Nice. Nicely done.
Thank you. And if anybody that has not read Philadelphia, check it out. It's quite good.
Gonna have to. And that's kind of rare getting the same creative team to go from book to book, kind of like Lock and Key. Yeah, they stuck together, and I was impressed that although they're the same folks, it has a similar kind of tone of everything's normal, nothing to see here. Oh, nightmare dropped right in your lap. They still do it differently. It's not a continuation of the same series. It's got its own flavor. Very cool. Very cool. And we have a couple of comments here. Ted Davies Artistry says, Sir Clyde, reviewer of the Comics Cosmos. And Lissy says, Clyde, your Halloween decorations are great.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
He's all dolled up for this, I'm telling you. So anyway, we thank you all for your fantastic reviews. Appreciate them greatly. And we hope, as always, folks, go to your local comic book shop and please pick up these titles. If they don't have them on the racks, you can usually ask your comic monger to order them from whoever their distributor happens to be, now that we've got a choice. Also, there's Comixology and other online services, and plus various places where you can order live, real hold them in your hands comic books for your very own collection things. See, just like Joe has down there. And Comixology, where you can pick up the Zombieville World of Oz and it's Amazonia, correct?
Amazonia, AWS, and Primetime Saturday Night, and the other book which I don't control, which is Enigma.
So anyway, so check out Comixology for your comic needs as well. But show's
not over yet, Ted.
Don't go yet.
Wait, there's more.
Yes.
Yeah, that was just an intermission, if anything. So, but not an admission of anything going wrong. But anyway, no, we've got a. Joe found this article last week, and I'm going to put it in the comments there.
Are we doing that one first? Not the sci-fi one. Okay.
Yeah, we'll do this first. Make sure we get that in.
Okay. We're going to deal with what I was teasing about. Okay.
Yes. And basically, the article is on. Let's see. Did I have the right place? It is a review of several comics on there. Some of which there is a definite agenda here, I think. But let me, if I can, I'll read what it says. There are Wonder Woman books about Wonder Woman having adventures off in the wild blue yonder. And there are Wonder Woman books that really dig into the implicit conflict of their character, a woman from an island of immortal philosopher warriors who are all women. DC's new series, Nubia and the Amazons, is the latter. The book is solely about the society of Themyscira and doing very, very smart things with the Amazons. In the first page, with one supernatural plot device, co-writers Stephanie Williams and Vida Ayala, along with artist Aletha Martinez, inject a valuable source of variety to the never-ending island of mortals. And as Williams took care to confirm on Twitter, it's also a way to explicitly include trans women in the society of Themyscira.
Transformers?
Transformers. There's more than meets the eye here. Anyway,
I'm like, I was waiting for him to crack up. I was waiting. It's like, he got it. He hasn't synced in yet.
That's right. There we go. So anyway, there's the comic in question. One of the Amazons. Well, Joe, outline your objection.
Well, it's not really a true objection. It's more along the lines, I blame the writer for revealing it the way that she did via Twitter, because it would have been more potent to allow the story to happen where the character itself reveals that she is that way. Now, the whole thing, and I have to go back, it's like it goes all the way back through like their whole training course and everything, and they was, seeing who was skilled in what, and they got to, if I could have the full screen here.
Yes, just a second, Joe. Here you go.
When they got back to like this one library, they was all given like this one particular spear, and it's like a labyrinth maze with a little bitty ball up in it. And the character that's in question was able to solve it within 5 minutes, which was unheard of. So it's like it was a sign that she was like supposed to be like this ultra intelligent Amazon. And then at the ceremony, how everybody else was like, hi, I'm such and such, hi, I'm such and such. That same character comes out, and I'm going to try to get into focus for you guys to read it here. See, I think that's going to be as close as I can.
Yeah, hold on. I can read her dialogue if you want.
She says, "I don't know, I don't know how to explain it, but this is exactly. I
don't know how to explain it yet, but this exact moment feels like my soul has desired it long before I came here. I am Bia, or Bia. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I am Bia. So it starts out with, there's something unique about this character. It's already set in motion. The couple of days before this book is released onto comic book racks and in stores, the writer says that this was meant to highlight trans women and all this other stuff, and it ruined the surprise. It ruined the character because of the simple fact that now people are going to see that character as a agenda play instead of a character in a story that could be loved and understood for who she became, not because of a checkbox that's being marked. And it irritates me to no end when you use, how can I put this? You use your platform to undermine the overall writing that you're putting out there. That's what this person did with that character. Undermined that whole character because of an agenda that they wanted to put out there to make certain that people are aware that we're inclusive. Just like the story tell itself, they would have eventually got to know that that character is that way, and not only would the people who you're trying to include know about it, those who are not that way is going to like the character too. Now I'm up here like, it's a waste. They wasted her.
Yeah. I admit yeah, go ahead, Eric.
This is a cruel joke. So the women of Themyscira couldn't master the puzzle of the magic ball, but the Transbia could master the ball.
It wasn't the fact that they couldn't master it. She did it in 5 minutes. It was more of the time than whether or not they couldn't master it.
Yeah. but yeah,
I agree with Joe on that. People using their Twitter for stuff like that. Let the story tell itself. She was probably doing it trying to get more sales, create a controversy so people go out and buy it or something like that, other than letting the story tell the story.
Yeah.
Even if she's trying to avoid, she builds up the character and then goes, oh, by the way, as the story unfolds, she is a transgender person. And then everybody going, oh, so you've just decided to just do that. You've taken a regular character and just twisted that. So maybe she was trying to avoid that, but it was very poorly done. I would agree. So I could understand her desire not to be second guessed about what the character was supposed to be from the get-go. But if you write well, I think you could subtly lead that way and reveal it so that there's no question. So it was like, I don't want to wait and do that skillfully. So I'll just I will head off that accusation by just admitting it. So I can understand where they might come from with it, but I agree. It is not the right approach to take, I don't think, for the character.
I agree completely. I think it's great that the basic idea of this character, because the idea of the Well of Souls was that it took women who had been abused by men and put them in fresh, strong bodies, as established by George Perez in his run on Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm.
And here you hear constantly a lot of trans people, going from male to female, saying, I feel like a female trapped in a male body. And I think that I agree with Clyde that, I understand space limitation in writing comics. I mean, that's part of the system. It's one of the limitations, one of the challenges in doing comics. But I would rather have had the character come in and give clues to their history, or just introduce the character now and then come out later and say, yes, here's who I was in my previous life. Okay, rather than and this was Stephanie Williams who did it, the co-writer on this book, and she went to Twitter to announce this. In fact, I was looking at the tweet right here. Baya, I will call her Baya because I don't know how it's supposed to be pronounced, will have a role on Themyscira beyond just existing. She isn't set dressing. She isn't a box to tick. She's a fully fledged character that is important to her community, just as black trans women are important to us in real life. Totally agree. Totally.
But making the Twitter announcement was checking a box.
Yeah,
that's the point. That's the point that
it is.
So angry about
it's
that.
telling us everything and showing us nothing. You know.
Yeah. In fact, I think they would have stood a stronger chance if they could have delayed the introduction of this character or just kept the character around as window dressing, if you want, while dropping, like I said, dropping clues, and then let us discover, let us get to know this person and care about her.
The thing is that she was dropping hints from the very beginning.
Yeah.
They introduced 5 brand new characters to Themyscira in this issue outside of Nubia.
Right.
We haven't even got it off of issue 1 before you did that. That's my complaint about it. It's like, no, you don't do stuff like that. You just undermine the whole story. Why do I need to read about her now? I mean, that would, to paraphrase the RSS Sauce, that's a toss right there. You toss the book at that point.
Yeah.
Toss it, Joe. Toss it, Joe.
Yeah, you want to. You know you want to. Give in to the
Let
dark
the hate
side.
flow through you.
No, in a lot of ways, doing it in this manner, I could see DC's PR department going into crisis mode, because I know how they are about letting plot elements out like that they can't exploit.
Every week now, though. Every week or something. Off of Twitter.
Yeah, and that's it. It's like picking on Cullen Bunn for needing to decipher his using his websites as his Rosetta Stone to figure out his stories. In a lot of ways, I think this is pretty much the same thing, and it could have been a bold statement from DC, just like they're doing with John Kent in Superman Son of Kal-El. That is a bold, balls to the wall statement about where DC stands on inclusion. Good for DC in this regard. But I feel something like this was kind of cowardly in a way, that rather than like we've been saying, let the story and the characters speak for themselves. It's almost shouted in, like a drive-by shouting, and the equivalent to me of like going to Citizen Kane and yelling in the open, during the opening credits that Rosebud's the sled. Or going to Titanic and saying, hey, the boat's gonna sink.
No, I was just laughing at Cindy's comment here.
Oh yeah, no spoilers.
I mean, you're just so apropos. No spoilers.
Exactly. No spoilers, Cindy. As even in Twitter. Yes. Yeah. Yes, seriously. Seriously. And this could have, like I said, this could have been a huge move for DC. Move forward for DC. Regardless of where you stand on the issue, that they could have made a really powerful statement for trans women. And in this one point, by presenting a character that has proven herself in the pages of the book. And instead, I think they squandered a real opportunity here. Whereas how many of us are looking forward to Superman
turn people off.
I'm sorry.
Can I ask a question? So when they come through the Well of Souls, they get a new body?
Right.
So
everything of their past is gone. They get a brand new body and everything.
So is it actually a trans woman then?
Well,
wow.
the thing about it is it's really their history. They have memories of what they were in the past.
Okay.
That's the problem. So she knows who she is.
Okay.
It's just that those things of the past is gone. It's almost like being born anew, but yet you still have all your memories and everything.
Okay.
Just like, again, that's the reason why they started off with Nubia and how she came through the Well of Souls. And that's what I would say is like, you have to preference that first, because you have to understand who Nubia was and some of the things that she went through in that last tale that they had with her going through different equivalents of Hades and hell and everything, dealing with her lover and all this other stuff. And it was just weird because the way they had Nubia is that she was dealing with more of the arcane than Diana. Diana was dealing with stuff all over the world. Nubia was dealing with the arcane, and she ended up dying. And then when she came through, she was born again, and that's the reason why she's like, you know, the visions and everything. She was like, why am I seeing this stuff about Themyscira? She was not truly affiliated with Themyscira. Her affiliation was with a different tribe of Amazons that hated Themyscira because of something else. But that's a whole different.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they could have built up by they wanted to be a trans character, drop a few hints, do little hints through the story as it went, and people that might have been, you know, not really caring about trans characters might have actually grown to like the character without it being shoved in their face.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the only thing she had to do is, like, after saying that speech at the ceremony, is just have another little couple of panels where something ended up happening, and she ended up consoling somebody about understanding about how being different is taken. Again,
well, I noticed in the next panel, the panel right after that, the one that says "Welcome" Baya or whatever got the font, not the font, but the bubble is kind of like a condescending type looking bubble. But I don't know if that was through the way she spoke through all the panels, though. It looked like
no. That was how all the audience was.
Okay.
See, when they introduced themselves, it's like you had the normal speech bubble for the character, and the crowd would say it in the weirder one. So after she said her speech, that woman
that woman right there kind of like
it's just the way that they did it. They shouldn't have had to tell. It should have been like everybody saying it at one time and not just the one person.
Yeah. So
again, good editing catch. That's all
Hey, I don't need Brian no more.
I'm retired. Ted and Glenn, I'm all yours. Anyway, but no, I just think it was a great opportunity missed, and the character, I think, even just in this little bit I've seen, just deserves better. Of course, I'm not. It's funny. I probably shouldn't point this out, but the co-author of this story, let me get her name right, Vita Ayala.
Mm-hmm.
I looked her up because the name was vaguely familiar, and I've read some of her DC work. But the first thing that popped up was what was it? Safe Space, and remember that those.
She was going to be on New Warriors for Marvel.
I think so.
Now, was that actually going to come out, or was that just a joke the entire time?
No, that was.
Because it never came out, right?
No, it never came out because of the backlash.
I think it got laughed off the stands, is what it is. You know, it's one of those cases of, you know, the publicity. They got a lot of publicity, but it wasn't the kind they were looking for.
Well, again, the person that created that series was not a comic book writer. He was a comedian. He wrote for like Comedy Central for different shows on Comedy Central.
Yeah.
So again, using buzzwords, I'm going to create all these characters, and had no idea about the sensitivity level of people. None.
Yeah. You gotta look out for TV writers that suddenly go into comic book writing, right? Like Paul Dini, and
some of them can, some can, and some can't. There's a lot of comic book writers out there right now, in the main too, that shouldn't be comic book writers because they really don't know about comics. They just want to make a statement for themselves.
Right. You know, just I'm reminded of the Rawhide Kid from 20 years ago. It was written by a stand-up comic, and it read like a stand-up comedy routine. Actually, it read like the pacing was like those old episodes of The Young Ones, where it would be the story, you'd have jokes, and then all of a sudden Alexei Sale would stop in and do 5 minutes of a stand-up routine. Then the show would resume again. You know, that's what the pacing on that would remind me of. So, anyway,
lesson learned.
Yes,
writers stay off Twitter. Let the stories tell themselves. If they should have left Jonathan Kent alone. They announced that the week before it came out. Robin as well. And they really didn't even get into the Robin story before they started telling Jonathan Kent was bisexual. Right. Let the stories tell themselves if you want people to buy the books. The good writing will keep people buying, unless it's something Brian wants to buy. He'll buy if it's bad writing.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Anyway, what word should I swear? But no, I can see DC's position here. You don't want to be like SJW revelation of the month sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like have we ticked off all the boxes yet for inclusion? That's kind of a slippery slope for them, I can see. But it's like also, and I keep going back to this because I see nothing but potential. Alan Scott. Now, I know that's, got a number of people's, underwear in bunches. I understand. But the story possibilities of a closeted elderly gay man, I think there's a lot of storytelling potential there. And relating to his children, one of whom has been openly gay for the longest time. So, I think there's ways to do it. And I think DC is kind of 50-50 on this one so far as how to sell it to the public. And then they also had that one book, about 2 or 3 months ago, the Pride book, which I think was very well done. So, but anyway, keep trying, DC. And Damian Walburn goes, the New Warriors book was real, but so was an accompanying TV show that was just as controversial for all the same reasons. Yeah. And it's sometimes a thin line between pandering and inclusion, depending on the skill of the creator.
And I still feel that this book was on the verge of true inclusion until the writer did exactly the opposite.
And the real
there on Twitter is like, hey, this is what we're getting.
Yeah, and the real problem, the real sadness is that transgendered females are the victims of violence. I mean, look up the statistics.
Oh yeah.
And so not only did they drop the ball, but this is something that could have been very, very important in actually tackling a social ill. I mean, if you're going to do this, you want to, a friend used to say, please, God, save us from the good people, because a lot of times good intentions are done so poorly that they actually exasperate or they don't change the situation. This had the potential to be a real groundbreaking moment and a very positive thing. And it may not fail completely, but it certainly will be less so than it could have been otherwise, I think. That's a real shame. Look it up. Look up the percentage of victimizations and murders of transgendered women, and you get, they needed a boost like this in a fictional format, I think. So that's kind of a double shame.
That is true. Damian Waldron also says he believes, in his opinion, the DC is doing or letting others do this kind of info leak due to Marvel's backtracking post-COVID break on all their more socially aware concepts. Well, yeah, I know there has been a great deal of pushback. Like I said, a lot of more conservative fans are going to see this as pandering. And I'm seeing places where, like this character, the gravitas of this character, the potential importance of this character is kind of like, it gives it a false start of sorts. And now it's going to have to push the stone uphill a little farther, I think, because of it. So, and Lissy says, Clyde says it wonderfully. He always does. That's why we love the guy.
Hey, daughter.
Well, children are used to their parents, so you're not going to get any sympathy from her, Eric. So, but but yeah, we'd like to hear everyone else's opinion too on this while we still have a few minutes.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, I think we got time for this one more.
Yeah, topic 2.
Topic 2.
Oh, I'll wait for topic 2 because
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, here we go. We got more here. Let me copy and always talk out loud when you direct. That's the only way to do it, kids. And Lissy says, as a disabled woman, I think people who aren't familiar with any minorities need to consider if they're being accurate or if it's insulting or pandering.
Yes.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I say this as an elderly white guy. It's you need to know the subject very
Emphasis on elderly.
Huh? I'm sorry, my hearing aid went out.
What?
There. Anyway,
What was that, Sonny?
oh, come on. But no, I don't have a particular horse in this race, but I am empathetic enough that I would feel bad for this sort of thing. It's kind of like when I was when they were dancing around back in the 30 years ago with North Star at Marvel. Even when John Byrne was now, that was a good lead up because Byrne was putting in clues left and right that North Star was gay. It was the execution of the reveal that I thought it really fell down.
We also didn't have the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That ruins everything.
It does. It really does.
It does. Yeah, and it's and that's why a number of companies now have social media policies.
Mm-hmm.
And I had heard that DC and maybe Marvel had also instituted ones of their own. So anyway.
Yes, people. Yes, you youngsters, there didn't used to be an internet.
That's right. Back in our days, you had to, if you wanted your pornography, you had to go out and hunt it during the winter. Make sure you had enough for the whole family. Then
hide it under your mattress.
That's right. Go uphill both ways, barefoot in the snow. Lissy says, Cindy Cap, I hear you. Most of the PC movement has been truly annoying. If one more person calls me handy capable, yeah, that's it's nearly a left-handed compliment on that. Yeah, I understand. And Lissy says, you're being quiet, old man. And I don't think she was talking to me.
Real quick. So I turned 50 this year. So guess what? Got special surprise I got at the doctor today. Yep. Got to schedule that soon.
There is that thing that if you're willing to basically... you don't have to get the I can't remember the name of it, but I got it a couple years ago because I had not had that the test. My doctor recommended the non-invasive one. And if you don't mind handling your own stuff, it's accurate and it's a lot easier.
Are we talking about the same thing?
I hope so. Well, either way, except if you got the rubber glove, then you're on your own.
No, I have to schedule a colonoscopy because I'm at 50, which a few years ago it was 40. Now they say 50. And I kept telling the doctor, I told the doctor and the nurse, I said, I got a friend in Japan, same age. They don't do that in Japan anymore. That's archaic. They have an actual scan. She goes, yeah, they're a lot more advanced medically than we are. I'm like,
yeah. But yeah, they offered the Cologuard. That's it, Cologuard, and it's a production, but it's
it sounds like a fancy version of Depends.
It does. Yeah, it sounds like something like I'm feeling pain back there. I know.
Well, enough butt talk. Let's get to the other article.
Meanwhile, after the show, Eric's there going, price of an airline ticket to Japan. Oh, man. My insurance won't cover it. Damn it.
Isn't it like in the 70s when they said that everybody's flying south of the border to get their cancer treatments? So, yeah. Welcome to the medical show now. But Cindy Cap brings us back to online saying, but yeah, accuracy is important. Assumptions are treacherous, and there are so many inaccuracies in media that you can't trust that ever. And Ted Davies has already beat you to the punch, Eric. He's
Oh,
going.
Ted turned 50 this year too.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday to you.
Maybe you can
both.
get a group rate.
2 for
They
the
can
price
put
of 1.
put you on a conveyor belt as you go under the scanner. There you go. And Cindy Kep says, or Lissy rather, says to Cindy Kep, I've had people act like I'm such an inspiration for having a job, even though I'm hearing impaired. It was awkward. And Damian Walburn says, Cologuard poop in a box for better health. Yeah. It works though, is the thing. Because my when I worked for the water company, my supervisor, who was a few years older than I am, if you could imagine that, was describing the process to me. And they got to like knives up there along with amnesia drugs. And I'm like, wait a minute. This sounds like something out of something I would write. And it's terrifying me. So no poop talk here. You honestly, there will not be. And passports. Oh, I think I see the rails from here. Anyway, so thanks, Ted.
Okay. Second
so-
article.
Yeah, this subject has truly diverged. So I think we need to go to the next one. All right. And here we go. And we got more comments.
Ignore them; they'll go away. That's okay.
No, it's like I don't think they will. O'Brien, I know it works. Believe me. Oh, trust me, Damien. I'll vouch for it myself. And okay, here's your fortune cookie opening. Address your letters and hate mail to Ted at Ted Davies Artistry.
Actually, you could leave Ted a comment if you go out and back Grimm 101 Book 2.
There you
Just
go.
leave
Right.
a comment after
Exactly.
you back it.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, definitely go.
Pay
for one
to
of the-
harass Ted.
That's right. Pledge for one of the
And
higher
if he
tiers.
lays delivering on that project, you know where he's at. He went to Japan.
Right. As his editor, I trust me, I will not let him leave the country until he gets it done. Believe me. But anyway, we have a second article from sci-fi.com saying it's in time for DC and Marvel to embrace change, retire their legacy characters. The comic book industry has had a difficult time getting noticed by the mainstream media, despite having long ago left behind its disposable pulp roots behind. That's heresy. Comics have always struggled to get even a smidge of the attentions movies and television gets. And as word got out that Superman's son, John Kent, would come out as bisexual in November, Superman, son of Kal-El #5, written by Tom Taylor and drawn by John Timms, the story took on a life of its own. Everyone covered it, including the website that I'm reading from. In addition to NPR, the Washington Post, and the New York Times, dozens of other outlets who never write about comics unless a character is being killed or there's a lawsuit involving ownership rights to a well-known superhero. But basically, it is about why are we letting, if I'm reading this correctly, why are we creating or why aren't we moving out the classic legacy characters to make room for the new ones? Let's see. Marvel and DC, the holders of the key to the superhero kingdom, are trapped in an eternal wash, rinse, repeat cycle. How can they possibly break free of it? Not by getting rid of Superman, but by getting rid of Clark Kent, by retiring Peter Parker and creating a new alter ego for Spider-Man. Don't we have one already? 2 of them, in fact. By keeping Batman and dumping Bruce Wayne, which kind of has been done. The youngest character mentioned above is 60 years old. We have mountains of stories depicting those guys. The same goes for Diana Prince, Hal Jordan, the Richards family, Dr. Bruce Banner, Steve Rogers, and Logan. Who's to say that they must always be the people in the costumes and masks of our favorite hero? Batman may have been born from tragedy, but why should it be only a rich guy whose parents were gunned down in Crime Alley? It gives readers doing this, sweeping out the legacy identities would give readers a clear jump on point, just as the Ultimate Universe provided a nice uncluttered entry into a Marvel universe untethered from decades of past continuity when it debuted in 2000. Retiring some of these characters could be the avenue towards extending a true welcome to new readers. And that part I might agree with, that a lot of comic continuity nowadays has become so convoluted, to me, at least as a legacy reader. I find it impenetrable. You know, what they've done with the groups like the Avengers and the X-Men and stuff, I can't quite follow it. Because I don't, of course I haven't followed it from the start, and I got off the bandwagon because it was starting to get a little complicated. And, I get that desire. But the thing is, in my opinion, jumping on points are also jumping off points. Silence.
Well, you started out with
I try to be
the media doesn't cover comic books. Well, Death of Superman. I mean, all the books, media covers them. There's so many of them, it doesn't cover every single one. Jeez, the Death of Superman just flooded the airwaves.
Right.
And then ruined the industry. But anyway. I mean, can you have a non-rich guy be Batman? He wouldn't have all the fancy gadgets.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
I don't know.
Or you'd have to be a lot more clever about it. But, the thing is, we do have new versions. Marvel's been very proactive about that in the last decade. We've got we've got Bruce Banner, and we've got Amadeus Cho. We've got Miles Morales and Peter Parker, and Ben Reilly just came back.
Yeah.
We've got more than just Steve Rogers as Captain America, and heaven knows, I think each and every member of the Fantastic Four at one point or another has been replaced by somebody else over its 60-year history.
She-Hulk, Ghost Rider, Spider-Man, Wolverine, they've all been Fantastic Four.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So I think that has happened in a lot of ways, but of course, then again, a lot of those, like the Marvel, I don't think that that a lot of people embrace them as they did the old characters. Maybe it was a failing of the creators. Maybe it was just that the market wasn't ready for it yet. And I see Joe shaking his head.
Yep,
Joe,
because I have the most unpopular opinion about everything that was said.
Okay.
The thing about it is that you're asking the publishing houses to do exactly that. They have done it, but the problem is dealing with the marketing and fandom. Marketing is not going to hype up, let's say, a Miles Morales unless there's a fan base that is ravenous enough that will buy everything that's Miles Morales related.
True.
They're not going to do that. They're going to still push Peter. Why? Because of the business aspect of it. That's just the marketing plan for it. It's not about they're not doing what he's asking. It's more along the lines, you as a fan are not going out there and purchasing and really putting your money behind a lot of these new characters. Again, he's up here talking about, well, we need somebody other than Bruce Wayne. It's like, well, we had Lucius Fox's sons be Batman. I mean, we had Batwing for how long, but nobody got behind that. Right. We had Val-Zod for so long. I forgot the name that's over in China as a Superman.
Oh, Keenan Kel.
Keenan Kel.
Yeah, that was a great.
We had him as Superman.
Yeah,
nobody. Awesome, there's no fanfare for that. So while they're up here developing this stuff over here, their marketing department is saying we still gotta keep pushing Clark Kent because everybody knows who Clark Kent is. When they see that emblem, it's represented to the Clark Kent, not to Val-Zod, not to Kill, not to or if I want to say, because he mentioned Superman, not even to Steel or the Eradicator, not even to Connell. It is what it is. You have to separate. You have to separate the business aspect of it to truly understand the problem. The problem is if there's not enough people buying into that new character and becoming, ravenous fans for it, they're not going to market it for that new character. Again, Kyle Rayner, there was a lot of hate when Kyle Rayner came into play when he took over for Hal Jordan. I mean, even now it's like when you think about Justice League, the cartoon, they didn't go with Hal Jordan. They went with Jon Stewart, who was just as popular. And there's a reason for that, because these are characters that when you think about Green Lantern, their names come up. They're synonymous. People you have so many ravenous fans for it. So if anything, blame yourself for not really putting your money behind these other new characters, and then not demanding, hey, I want this toy. Hey, I want more movies. Hey, I want this. Why? Because I'm putting thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars into buying the books and buying the memorabilia and buying all this other stuff for the new character that was created. I shouldn't say new character, the new character as in brand new, but passing of the mantle.
Right.
I mean, people want to think about, like, can we have a poor Batman? It's like the poor Batman that I could think of is Ted Kord. Because technically Ted was a janitor. He came across, the idea of coming up with frictionless foam and then made a whole corporation based upon it. So again, yeah, there could be a poor Batman, but nobody talks about Ted Kord. But again, even with Ted Kord, you had Jaime Reyes to take up the mantle after him.
Yep.
You don't see too many people talk about Jaime Reyes, and I need all these Jaime Reyes toys as Blue Beetle. Why is that? That's because there's not enough ravenous fans for Jaime Reyes to demand X, Y, and Z. And I know that's unpopular.
Well, but it's true, because the bottom line is which sells. Not to put too fine a point on it, but what is going to sell. Now, they can take heart in this as older generations of readers die off. They're going to have a shot to reinvent. For example, you brought up Blue Beetle, and this is a good example. How many of us are going, oh, why can't Dan Garrett come back? One guy. But most people think of Ted Kord because he was well written and he was the follow-up, and the Dan Garrett fans, are fewer and far between. And if you were going to market a Blue Beetle, probably a Bug and a Ted Kord style Blue Beetle would sell better than a Jaime Reyes. Although I really liked the Jaime Reyes series. I really liked it. But the numbers normally don't lie as far as, the feedback that the corporate end gets for what they want to produce to get maximum return on their dollar investment. So, I mean, they can make mistakes, but overall, they aren't going to take a lot of chances if they think that, Hal Jordan Green Lantern is going to outsell all the others. That's what they're going to make more of, not just in books, but also in merchandising, probably. So, but as our generation gets older, they will have a shot, and hopefully they will write a Miles Morales Spider-Man that's really good and catches the imagination of those younger generations coming up, and they can monetize and make that a good business platform for themselves. Because that, I mean, we don't like corporations and things, and yet we understand they have to make a profit, or else they wouldn't bother with any of this. So we understand it's just the balance act that comes into play. And what he's asking for right now, that balance is still like this.
But it's been done. That's the thing.
It is being done.
That new concept. It's just more along the lines. You got
Ghost Rider. How many Ghost Riders have there been?
Oh, yeah.
Danny Ketch is my Ghost Rider, because that's when I started getting Ghost Rider. I knew there was a Johnny Blaze, but Danny Ketch is mine. I liked him.
Carter Slade.
Carter Slade. Yeah,
the original West.
Woo!
Yeah.
I'm up here thinking about the new one that has the car instead of the motorcycle.
Oh, the Charger, yeah. That looked cool, and I thought it was. I don't buy Ghost Rider anymore, but I think they canceled it. But yeah,
again,
you can take some comfort in this. People that wrote the article and feel that way about the original characters. I saw something for Halloween yesterday when we had the Books for Treats at the library that I had to look, and I'm like, what is that? This is an over-the-counter costume, which means that they're selling a lot of them. And it's Venom, kinda. This Venom was green and had big muscles. Oh, it's a Venomized Hulk. Oh,
Yeah.
there's a Venom over here that is in blue and white and with a star. Oh, it's Venomized Captain America.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, this is a major selling point. Several kids were wearing them, and they could tell you about they like Venom. Now, Venom's not a brand new character, but he is a spin on, you know, away from the original Spider-Man concept. And they are really, you know, I saw several, and again, kids could tell you about them, which to me means a little bit more than just my folks got this costume for me and I'm wearing it. Yeah, but
Yeah.
but here's the kind of things that will. It's change will not be fast, but I do think that it is pending and it's coming. So.
Yeah. Well, and you know, you guys mentioned, you know, the familiarity of classic characters. Real quick insert: aren't we glad the internet wasn't around in 1956 when Barry Allen came around?
Oh yeah, they would
Yeah,
have they would have had a field day. They would
Yeah.
have a field day talking about, oh, this is a bad idea.
He
Yeah,
can't
everybody
be the
knows
Flash. He has no
wears a
Mercury helmet.
hole on his head.
And without Barry Allen, we would never have Wally West, which was the best Flash ever.
Yeah, they keep bringing him back. I'm glad to say. Well, the thing is, I'm reminded of a story back in the 70s when, pardon me, Mario Puzo of Godfather fame wrote the original screenplay to what became Superman the movie. Now, at the time, Clark Kent was. They had changed him in the comics from a newspaper reporter to an anchorman for, you know, WGBS, you know, Metropolis News or whatever its station is. But anyway, you know, because that was hipper, because this was at a time when the big networks were like changing their their anchormen. Like on ABC had Frank Reynolds, and Huntley and Brinkley had left NBC for John Chancellor, and Walter Cronkite was about to step down for Dan Rather. So, you know, it was hip to be the anchor guy. So that's what Superman was in the comics. But when Mario Puzo turned in that screenplay, Clark Kent was a mild-mannered reporter for a major metropolitan newspaper because that's what he was familiar with. And I think it goes back to Joe's point on marketing.
Clark couldn't be an anchorman. He'd missed too many shows.
He found a way because he's Superman. He just did, damn it. But no, you know that there is, you know, a lot of brand familiarity, and it's going to take a long time to get, you know, to wear that out. But you know, how many fans, you know, from our youth thought, you know, I when I started buying Flash comics in the 50s, I thought Barry Allen was the first one. I didn't know. And I remember reading that, like when they were talking about the Justice League movie by Zack Snyder and the possibility of the Green Lantern Corps being introduced, there were some people pushing back because they were familiar with the comics for a long time. They were familiar with Justice League, the animated series. They were saying, why are you bringing in a white guy? Everyone knows Green Lantern's black.
Again, 1970s.
Yeah.
John Stewart outdid Hal Jordan, and Green Lantern books was more about John Stewart than any other one. They were both out at the same time, but they were selling more books dealing with John Stewart in the 70s.
Any Green Lantern's better than Guy Gardner. I'm sorry. This bold cut. Come on.
Oh no. When he was written by Bo Smith, I loved Guy Gardner. That's about the only time, but he was great. I think it depends on who the creator is at the time. Cindy Kep says crossing the 120th of the millennium mark was a bit of a challenge last year. Okay, now I got to do math. Barbie's right, math is hard. But, you know, I understand. That age was good for me because I was like, oh, I'm half a century old now. This is cool. Anyway, thank you, Eric, says Davies Artistry.
You're welcome, Ted.
And Lissy says, I'm not wild about the whole old name, different identity thing in comics. It feels like they think the character couldn't stand on their own without taking a known name. But that was true in the 50s when we had Julie Schwartz redoing like Green Lantern, Flash, you know, the Justice League, formerly Justice Society and all, and even the Human Torch at Marvel. You know, that
the android Toro to the guy that he taught how to combust before we got to Johnny Storm.
Right. You know, that there's been Of course, they keep bringing those characters back too under different identities. So, Damian Waldron says, "I have to disagree on Jaime Rees. He's been used more in the last decade than Ted Kord ever was. There are a lot of toys for him." Well, it's funny you mentioned that. I play a couple of games on my iPad. One is Injustice 2. They just this week they introduced the Batman, who's the son of Lucius Fox, as one of the player characters. And they've also included the Batman who laughs, but and then I play another game based on the DC superheroes, and they just introduced who was it? They've had Jaime Rees for the longest time, but there was another character that just recently came into the comics in the last 6 months. So at least they're trying.
I'm glad to hear that, because I haven't seen any Blue Beetle toys in a while. I was just imagining. The last ones I did they looked more like the Ted Kord one. But I'm glad that Reyes is getting some.
No,
since McFarlane's taken over the license, it's pretty much been all Batman that's been coming out.
Right, pretty much. But to the point, he's right. There are more Jaime Reyes toys than Ted Kord. But to counteract that argument, why did they go back to Ted Kord for things like Blue and Gold and the comic books?
Right.
That's a problem. They could sell Jaime Reyes toys, and they could sell it on the young adult side, but in the main I don't want to say mainstream, but in the main theater of their base books, they went back to Ted for some reason. Why? Because that buying audience wants Ted more so than Jaime for some reason.
Yeah.
Again, it comes back down to marketing. I'm not saying that the toy, you got a very good point about the toys. I'm not going to argue about that. I have seen a hell of a lot of Jaime Reyes toys.
Yeah.
But I've also seen more Ted Kord comics, though.
That's true. I wonder if part of that is to protect the trademark.
Could be. Yeah.
Because I'm kind of reminded of back in the day when Marvel realized that their trademark on the term Silver Surfer was about to expire. And so they had to put him in a Marvel comic because, that's part of how you defend the trademark. And they had to find the one comic that when they discovered it, who was, just starting the production cycle for the next issue. The only comic available was Tomb of Dracula. And so they called Marv Wolfman and said, you got to figure out a way to put the Silver Surfer in there. It's essential. So it turned out to be a good story. But, there's, that's why I think you see it like a Captain Atom every few years. Now you're seeing, like Joe said, Blue and Gold with Booster Gold and the Ted Kord Blue Beetle. So that's my suspicion. I have nothing other than what little I know of trademark law. Trademark, that's what I meant to say. Excuse me. And Miles Morales is pretty well ingrained in the zeitgeist now, too. That's true.
He's established as a Spider-Man on his own.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a good thing. That's one of the things I do like about the Blue Beetle. DC did a comic with the different iterations of the Blue Beetle. It was the Secret Origins, in fact. I think that Roy Thomas had a part in. And it had the 40s Dan Garrett, which led into the 60s Dan Garrett, and then which, directly was influenced with Ted Kord because Dan was in the origin of Ted Kord. And then it kind of segued, I believe, into Jaime Rees. So, but yeah, and it's a good character too. So I think that's the key. Make good characters. Damian Waldron says, now we're getting into the disconnect between the comics themselves and the mainstream audience. Or maybe it's the people that complain about it.
I wouldn't say it's a disconnect between the comics themselves and the mainstream audience. It's more along the lines of what catches a person's attention. Because again, if there was a disconnect, they would not know about Clark Kent. They would just know, oh, that's a Superman symbol. Yeah. When they start naming specifics from the comics, there's not a disconnect. They might not be up to date in a series, just like watching any other television program. It's like if you're a fan of Stranger Things, if you're not on the up-to-date episode, does not make you less disconnected from it. It is what it is.
That's true. That's true. Damien also follows up by saying, "I love all the Beatles, even Dan Garrett."
Was he the drummer before Ringo?
I think so. Yes, he was. Yes, I'm a big fan of him. His drumming was better than Ringo's, I really must say. Cindy Kemp had a question and said, "Are there any series that have swapped out the main character without losing interest?" And the only one she can think of is Doctor Who. Wow, that's a superb question.
Phantom.
Well, yeah.
There's been more than one Phantom.
Yeah.
What about hasn't it always been the 21st Phantom? Now they've referred to past Phantoms, but I think it's always been the 21st Phantom. I think I could be wrong. I could stand to be corrected.
Would it actually be Spider-Man? Because no one actually knew they swapped out the character sometime.
Well, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I'm thinking Green Lantern would be a possible one because they went from Hal Jordan to Kyle Rayner, and yeah, there was pushback on Kyle Rayner. But how long was he Green Lantern? He was Green Lantern for several years.
But then again, why would they change Alan Scott from Green Lantern to Sentinel in that aspect then? Because it would have been Alan Scott to Hal Jordan to Jonathan Stewart to Kyle Rayner back to Hal.
Actually, Guy Gardner was in that cycle too, and then back.
Yeah, we pretend we don't know about Guy Gardner.
But you said without loss of interest. So if nobody cares too much for Guy Gardner, then that's a loss of interest.
A DC one that I don't know what you call him. He's not a major character, but Dr. Fate is somebody whose identity has the helmet kind of identifies. And whenever I see him, I'm always wondering, okay, who's under the helmet? It's the spirit of Naboo, but who's he occupying, or who's
Now you're making me think about the Spectre.
True. Yes.
Yeah.
Because again, the Spectre has to have a human host to guide it until this recent incarnation. The recent incarnation doesn't have one.
Right. And that human host should be Hal Jordan. So
no,
talk about
not even.
Working all the way. Hire me, DC. I can fix things for you. What was I saying about pandering earlier? Anyway, it's called looking for a job. But no, I'm having trouble thinking of.
But it's like the only one that I could truly think of was Phantom. Phantom just fits that whole mold because it's like even when you hear the stories about the past Phantoms, it's always from the eyes of the 21st. So it's just like
That's true. That'd be like starting with David Tennant on Doctor Who and him referring back to William Hartnell and Patrick Troughton. I could see your point, Joe. But yeah, I'm having trouble thinking of anybody else.
What about Ultimate Spider-Man? I mean, some people didn't like Miles, but
that's true.
I don't think the sales dropped at all. I mean, that stayed steady. I think it even went up after that.
I agree. Yeah, I think you got a good one. And the other character I can think of, Cindy, is Ultraman. Because you had Ultraman, then you had Ultraman Jack, Ultraman Taro, Leo, and all the way now up to Ultraman Trigger. So no relation to the horse, but that's the only one I can think of. Otherwise, so that's an excellent question, Cindy. Thank you for asking that. And with that, folks, we have gone over 2 hours again, but it has been a fast-moving 2 hours as far as I'm concerned.
Oh wow, 2:20. Oh, I thought we just barely went over the 2 hours. No, we're far over it.
We're chatty little cusses, ain't we? But anyway, thank you all very much in the audience for tuning in, and thank you if you're watching us on the rerun. We appreciate you also, and thank you for your own comments. You have had some great questions and some great comments, and they are duly appreciated and acknowledged.
Yes.
And I think what remains now is to go around the room and tell everybody how now that we have built up our own fandoms, and people will be talking about us and not our replacements. Well, except maybe one.
Mhm.
But anyway,
Yeah, Brian Rodman has been replaced by Joe, and we haven't lost any interest there. So yeah,
there we go. There we go. yeah, we'll see if I've got my Russian bots back. But anyway, and thank you for being a part of the adventure, Cindy. Love you, hon. Thank you, and much love to you, Sarah. Sarah, glad you're back, and CKOEPP.com for a great newsletter. So let's go around the room, and we'll start with Joe, then Eric, then Clyde, then me, and let's tell everybody how to keep up with you and follow your amazing adventures, Joe. And Joe, before you start, definitely when you're done, lock your windows. I hear that Lupin may still be in the neighborhood.
Oh, it's locked. I just need to get the wood and just wood, hammer, and nails just to make sure
Good
he
idea.
doesn't come back. But then again, he finds a way.
He does.
But with that being stated here, you can always find me here on the Rising Tide Network every Saturday at 9 o'clock Central Standard Time, 10 o'clock Eastern from the Desk of a Small Press Publisher, where I talk about comics, do comic book reviews, interviews with people who have interesting things to say, even do 3D rendering and drawing sessions. So we do a little bit of everything on the show here. This week we're going to have Krista Grant on there talking about her latest Kickstarter, which is Lore, which again on Kickstarter you're going to have a whole separate different for awards and tiers and rewards and everything that you could invest in. And we get into a lot about her aspect in publishing, because a lot of people don't realize how long she actually been in comic book publishing or around the actual publishing aspect of comics. So that's something that most people need to be aware of. Outside of that, you can hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, DeviantArt. I don't do Twitter all that much, and if I did, I would have probably lost my mind off of that one article way before now. So it's one of those things here. As of late, you can still get all of our comics at exegencystudios.com. That's XIGENCY studios.com. And we also have a Teespring store where you can get things like coffee mugs, t-shirts, even masks and stuff to that magnitude. So it's a little bit of something for everybody to enjoy. And that's pretty much where you can find me at, outside of probably in front of my computer for the next couple of days, because I got a 6-page story to write.
Good man. Glad to hear that. And Joe, thank you again for being here. We do appreciate it, brother.
Before I forget, this might be the last show that you might see me here, because Mr. Rodman, after he takes off his pumps and his Jessica Rabbit dress, he will be back 100%.
Well, we have to ask him to come back first.
He may just show up in them. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like show out without the wig and everything.
Yeah, I think he's going to be appearing in Themyscira sometime soon, is what it is. So,
wait. So in other words, let me put it to you this way: you guys are going to play that game that you normally play and make him laugh so hard that he pass away. And then he's going to beat the qualification for the Well of Souls and actually come back as the bearded woman.
Wow.
I think it's a possibility. But of course, we will reveal Eric will reveal that he is the bearded woman on Twitter first. So, no pressure, Eric. No pressure. So thank you, Joe. Thank you very much. And speaking of bearded people, there is Eric. Eric, and also, let's see. And also, we have a comment. Lissy says, "Brian, who?"
I will admit there are pictures out there of me cross-dressing. It was always done for Halloween, but the pictures are out there. I don't think they're on the internet. I've kind of wrangled up all the live pictures, because this is before digital film, of course.
What stays
on
Pornhub stays on Pornhub.
They're out there. Actually, you guys can always find me on Facebook and Twitter, or Meta, whatever Meta will turn into. Brian Rodman's book is 3 days left. 3 days left. Go
Yes,
back
Halloween, I
that.
believe,
Go back
Wednesday.
Memoirs of an Angel. Go back Memoirs. What's the other Memoirs
Of
of
the
Memoirs of the
Morbid.
Morbid.
Of the Morbid. Go back Grim 101. Book 2. And oh no, don't tell me I lost it. So I just got a notification, and these people, I believe these people have been on Brian's show a few times. Moonlight Films.
Yes.
They are premiering Grim Reaper right now on YouTube.
Ooh, we better get out of here.
Yep. So go check that out too. Support independent comic creators and book writers and all the independent people out there. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you so much, Eric, as always.
Oh, thank you. I had a good time.
Oh, good. We had a good time with you here. And speaking of a good time, call Clyde Hall. That's what I saw in a bathroom. Anyway, Clyde, go ahead, please.
I told you about going to those bathrooms and believing everything you read, but here is Pulp Reality number 2. Clayton Merwin cover. Clayton, excellent work. I have B-Man stories that began in Pulp Reality 1. It's an award-winning publication from www.stormgatepress.com. The adventures of B-Man continue in the new pulp tradition in Pulp Reality number 2. They are both available at the Stormgate Press website, or you can get them on Amazon. On Brian's review, he talked about audio dramas, and that reminded me, Rachel Pulliam is a friend that I met through associates with Stormgate Press, and I entered a contest, and I won first place in a 1950s horror audio drama competition, and that is being produced right now. And I am very anxious to see, to hear what all they do with the story that I gave them. So if you follow me on Facebook, I am going to be posting, in fact, I posted one already this week, some of Rachel's other work. She has some other horror radio dramas that she's putting out. So you can find me at Clyde Hall on Facebook, or Radiating Positive Vibes with author Clyde Hall on Facebook, or you can find me on Twitter at CJ Hall 1984, or you can always find me right here. And that's on Thursday nights with Comic Book Spectrum with this zany bunch, including our Master of Ceremonies. Here he is.
I know it's through when I hear it. Thank you very much, Clyde Hall. I appreciate that. And it's been a fun. No, it's back! It's back! Ooh, it's scary. Anyway, and speaking of scary, Lissy has those photos, Eric. And, and thank you, Sarah. Love you, hon. Anyway, and thank you, everyone. Seriously, thank you all for being here. If you want to follow me, go to risingtide.pub, newly reminted, where you can sign up for my brand new monthly newsletter. I say brand new because we just wrote the issue yesterday because I have to go out of town this weekend. But we've got secret links and all kinds of cool stuff, motivational quotes, and let you know where we're going to be because some idiot is booking himself for 2 more shows after this weekend. But anyway, we write books, which you can find on Amazon.com, also Smashwords.com. You also you can go to this site also and order them from there. Check out Damian Waldron's great work on my site and hire him to do your website too. And also, like I said, we will be at HallowCon this coming weekend, HALLOWCON, with Damian Waldron. See, I remembered this time. And all kinds of great people will be showing up. I'm the guest of honor down there. And we'll be there for 3 days, starting tomorrow at 3 p.m. And it's going to be a lot of food and fun and frivolity and all kinds of F's that you will give. Because it's going to be a great, great show. Go to hallowcon.com for more information and location and such. And speaking of HallowCon, when you get there, you're going to see a beautiful painting by Jeffrey Hayes. And he is what we call plasma fire graphics when the look of your book matters to you. definitely check out Plasma Fire Graphics when you want the best graphics to help sell your book, to wrap around your book, and great book cover, book trailers as well. And Jeffrey did his own back then, and he does mine, so you know what quality work looks like. You can find it at Plasma Fire Graphics on Facebook and on the interwebs. That's plasmafiregraphics.com. When the look of your book matters to you, because it matters to your readers. And thank you again, Plasma Fire Graphics, for sponsoring our shows. And Damien does fabulous web design, says Cindy Kep. Woo! She is right. And have a good night, guys. You too, Sarah. Mwah. Talk to you soon. And anyway, don't forget that we are powered by the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. We have all kinds of shows, and we're moving into audio podcasts now with a great new show from George Soroy, and also John Celestri, the former animator, has a new show called Dr. John Original Gangster, where he teaches you how to draw. And he's also the great writer, artist of Bloodwing Angel, that is number 2, I believe, is funding soon. So anyway, please go to our Facebook site and check out our various shows. We've got your entertainment covered 7 days a week, and we've got something for everyone. There'll be no Stupid O'Clock tonight, or Last Man Standing tonight, or on Saturday night, because we're all going to be at HalloCon. But please check us out. And tomorrow there will be no Nevermind the Furthermore, or reruns of Clever Title Pending, because I just couldn't make it work. But anyway, tomorrow night, Drinking with the Davies at 7 p.m. Always fun. And followed by the Historical Fencing Guild at 8 p.m. with Nicholas Anthony Tockard. And then we've also got, let's see, I think Saturday. Yeah, Saturday we've got From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher. That's an awesome show. I love that show. And check out what Jody McFee does on his solo show there. And I don't know if Heather Allen's doing Comics Chaos or SAS. We just kind of make this up as we go along. But anyway, please check out the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. Check out our Facebook page and subscribe to that if you would, please. Also, thank you to our Patreon subscribers who you see on this card. Check out what they offer on their Patreon sites. But if you want to see your name here, go to www.patreon.com/Brian K. Morris for all kinds of goodies. And so, folks, thank you all again for being here on Comic Book Spectrum. We'll be back next week with more reviews, more conversation, and more of your comments. So thank you very much. And if you're watching on the rerun, please leave a comment down below, and we will reply to it as best we can. And all we have to say now, as soon as I scroll down to where I need to be, is stay smart, stay safe, wash your hands, and never apologize for being awesome. See you at HalloCon, and see you next week on Comic Book Spectrum.
Thank you for watching Comic Book Spectrum, a Rising Tide Broadcast Network production. Please join us next week for another look at comics, past, present, and future. If you enjoyed this, please give the show a like and be sure to subscribe and share it with your friends. To receive our free monthly newsletter, go to www.risingtide.pub and be sure to give the Rising Tide Broadcast Network page on Facebook a like in order to receive news about upcoming shows, including Clever Title Pending, Stupid O'Clock, Clever as Hail, Comics Chaos and SAS, Tidbits and Scribbles, the Historical Fencing Guild, and Nevermind the Furthermore. See you next week.